Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running low. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running low. Keep running low.
Where am I going now? Just falling over dreams. Now I'm just so far gone, this isn't what it seems. Taking me so damn long, it's fading from belief. I need to slow this down, it's burning from beneath. Come break this line before tomorrow dies. Holding on for what is worth my life. And all inside, I'll make it up the vine. Find my way to giants in the sky. Tonight it comes to life.
Good afternoon, Splatters, and welcome to the official inception of the Splat World Series, our beloved game's very own summer classic. Hopefully the first of many such iterations starts right here with Qualifier number 1. Before we can crown a world champion, though, we must first select our Western contenders. 2 more teams will be handed their golden tickets by this day's end, and if you stay tuned with us here at IPL Splatoon, you'll find out who's going home with all the chocolate. My name is SofaKing, your couch surfing ride or die on the mic. And who's that over there who I'm commentating with?
Me over here, I'm Hammy. Everyone's probably heard me yap about this game plenty of times. I'm very excited to be here. As you said, this is the first Splat World Series qualifier, the first specific event for it. Obviously, people have qualified from Super Jump 5, but getting invited here with a stacked set of teams playing, stacked commentators, really awesome production. I'm very excited to be here. And I'm looking forward to a whole day of high-octane matches, trying to see which two teams today are going to qualify for the main event in August.
Yeah, I'm excited, Hammy. And obviously, we aren't going to get to the meat of who exactly is qualifying for quite some time, but we can at least guide you there with some hopefully terrific matches. And Hammy, talking about terrific, we have a clash of two German titans in round one with Cherry Wave and BlankZ. Do you have any favorites going into this one?
Now, favorites, I'm not fully there yet. I'm hoping that one of these teams will be my favorite towards the end of this. You know, these are teams that I'm aware of, players I'm aware of. I think I've commentated some of these players recently in other events such as Champions Cup. So I am fully aware of what these teams are capable of. And I'm just excited to see who comes out on top. Like you said, two German powerhouses, seeds 16 and 17 in this event. So they are neck and neck, according to their Sendo results and maybe even the TOs. So this really could go either way. And I'm just looking forward to some good Splatoon right off the bat.
Yeah, and you know what the best part about tournaments like this is? When you say tournaments are stacked, right? Now, if we're sitting at the bracket looking, we're like, okay, FTWin and Moonlight. Let's wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's probably going to be them. But if you have teams in your tournament who are the 16 and the 17 seed, and these teams are winning and podiuming events like Paddling Pool, these open skill weekly events, these teams that are winning weeklies are your 16th and 17th seed? Hammy, don't you have just a great tournament in front of you if that's the case?
Yeah, and that is what we've needed. It's these events that are going to bring in these players and make them excited and want to play, because this is their opportunity to go to the Splat World Series. You can't have a tournament with a catchier name than that, saying this is where you want to play. There is nobody in this scene that would not love a chance to be here. And so we have teams from all over, from North America, from Europe, vying for these two spots. As you said, you know, we have Moonlight and FTWin who are looking to take that cake today, but there's a lot of other contenders that are trying to get that spot. And this is where that journey begins.
It really does. It begins here, and it begins on Splatoon Tourney, where we've got another streamed set of sets going with Pat and Skep. But let's chat a little bit about what we're about to see. Now, Hammy, this tournament's going to be a bit interesting, not because it's zones only, because that is the preferred high-level format, but because of the amount of maps that it allows, which is to say, virtually all of them. We start on Zones Undertow. Hammy, when was the last time you saw that in a tournament?
In a tournament? It was a Splat Zones only tournament, but even then it would have definitely been a long time ago. Definitely not a map you see in competitive. And I think that's an interesting talking point, is people complain that Zones only doesn't have enough variety. But we do get variety in terms of maps, and it brings up a new, fresh set of options, which can be very interesting to see, because we've seen these teams play every other map mode over and over and over and over again. I don't think I've seen any of these players in round one play Zones Undertow. So this is going to be a fresh experience.
It's fresh tape for both teams too, right? Like, you can't necessarily study what these teams have been doing on Zones Undertow when you don't see it. That being said, this is a double zones map, Hammy. Now, if we're taking a look at some of these early comps here, I mean, I'm seeing, of course, as predicted, this Rattler mini Splatling painted everywhere. The Twinkler's Dualies for both of these teams is an option. Do you think that there's any of these new weapons that are best suited to a two-zone map? Thinking of Umami as well would be the more traditional.
Yeah, I'd say with the two zones, you're able to get away with a lot more, because as long as you can keep one zone neutralized or capped, it doesn't matter, as long as the other team can't cap both zones. And so unlike a normal Splat Zones map where you need that one weapon that's like your paint heavy. You know, I'm a reflux main. I'm that guy. I just paint the whole zone. You don't need someone like me in a split zone map. You can run half the skirmishers in the game and you can keep that zone. So I think a lot of the emphasis here is going to be on the ability to fight and just your ability to play around the map itself rather than the zone. Even, again, looking at blanks on their Zendo page, all 6 people in the roster are listed as skirmishers. They know exactly how they want to play this one as we're getting into this first game.
Oh, yeah, and we've got blanks in the green and Cherry Wave somewhat fittingly here in the purple-esque here. Now, looking at these opening comps, the only new weapon I'm seeing is that Pro hand.
Yeah, that seems to be the only new weapon that has come out. But, you know, a lot of these players are comfortable with these weapons, running these, you know, same weapons, same comps for a long time, and just having mastered their craft. But yeah, that new Frozen Pro is a terrifying weapon to play. It can be very deadly here if any players try to set up on the glass and have to survive those missiles. But already, Cherry Wave getting the first cap of the game, a couple picks. Here comes those missiles I was just talking about. But a screen coming out from the side of blanks will kind of push Cherry Wave back a little bit, not let them get too pushed up.
Yeah, that screen plus the juice kind of gave them some sustainability here, and now we are 2v2 on the board, but still full control for Cherry Wave. You're going to wonder what they're going to do next with all this control. The Doolies are kind of stuck up in that corner there as the 52 is going to be gearing up for another screen. The next special is going to be huge, and it looks as though Blanks has the special advantage. Oh my goodness, they've got their juice out. They're popping Booyah on screen. They're making their moves right now. They're able to catch out the flank, get another one up front, Hammy, and Blanks is looking to make this an even match.
Yeah, getting their first cap of the game. They're playing way more aggressively than we saw Cherry Wave, seeing a lot of yellow paint flying across the map, but they did lose a zone for a little bit there that will stagger them out a bit, trying to pull these missiles, you know, not overcommit as much as they are pushed up. They're still playing it safe, but here comes that crab from Draco. That's going to cause a little bit of a stir, getting one and trying to look for a zone, opting to not go for another kill, and just focus on this objective to make sure they can get that penalty and keep this lead.
You see how much influence that crab pick from Draco had. It was crazy. It led to that zone flip, and now a pinched member of blanks along the side. It looks like Cherry Wave is exerting their control again, able to pick the Doolies. Now it's Just the Edit who's able to ward off Draco instead there. Just the Edit is left, is quite far away from Juice here. Now, Hammy, Cherry Wave has thus far been a pretty solid defensive team. How do you break past that?
You break past it with specials like this Booyah Bomb and Crab that both got used, but not finding as much value as they may have been hoping for. See, Draco here is just holding this left zone, able to just stall out for a little bit more time, but the Soda from Blanks will get them in position, get this zone capped, and they have pushed up a little bit, but not as aggressively as before. We keep seeing on this left side, they have Ben up on just trying to push around, but by themselves isn't able to get as much value as they want. So Cherry Wave just keep getting back in.
Look at Draco on this crab. Still a huge, huge part of what Cherry Wave is trying to do. The decav will go down in the backfield there, and now you see Devil with a huge fight in the backfield of Cherry Wave. Is going to get picked by the pencil. And again, it just seems like every time we're looking up at that HUD, Hammy, Cherry Wave has the numbers, has the advantage, and they're through their penalty points.
They're playing very calm and collected. They're letting blanks take the zone when they want it, but look at how little points they've scored despite capping 3 times. They just let them have it, wait a little bit, know when they're ready to go, and then go. You see here, there are 2 players down, so they both backed up. They take their glass. They know how to position when they're not holding the zone, and they're going to wait for an opportunity. We're probably going to see Draco use another crab again any minute now, and it's probably going to spell disaster for blanks if they can't find a way to get rid of it.
They do have the Booyah Bomb at the ready here, but the opposing crab is trying to do something about that. Control still has Cherry Wave. Juiced up, though, on the other side is Blanks, trying to suss out this flank from the decav. The Edit can't quite land that last bullet here, and they're going to have to move fast because losing one member and almost through that penalty point means that Cherry Wave is in threatening position to knock out here, if not for Devil, who's able to roll in and get one. In a sea of pink, though, is going to get picked back out. And CC, oh my gosh, can we talk about their presence as an anchor, aside from that one bomb death, Hammy?
I was about to say, has CC died yet? And then watch that bomb death happen. Even when I don't say anything, Commentator's curse is always in effect. Blanks once again in control of the zone, but not for long. They aren't able to find a way to get rid of Cherry Wave. They've been holding a defensive position so well, and they're playing into their weapons. I was looking at Draco. Draco is using Haunt. Because now when somebody kills Draco and they can see them over the glass and use the crab more effectively, and like that is just like another level of commitment to like how to play your weapon very specifically. They know, like Cherry Wave know what they want to do. They have a solid game plan, and BlankZ just aren't able to find much here. They keep getting the zone, but with only 10 seconds left, Sofa, it's not looking great for them.
Look at this, though. Devil had that terrific pick to try and give them the zone here and give them slight numbers, which has helped them maintain control here. And now they are very short. They only need a little bit of overtime to get this done. The next pick is going to be so huge. Can Draco instead flip this back with the crab that's been so reliable? Draco will get a pick. The rest of the team neutralizes a zone, and Cherry Wave is going to take a tight game one.
Yeah, just like I said earlier, you don't even need those high paint weapons. You just need that skirmisher who's able to hold one zone long enough. In that overtime, they couldn't find a cap, and it just slowly whittled away the overtime until it was too late. And Cherry Wave, in a relative, even though the scores were close, Cherry Wave do take this game in like a relatively dominant fashion.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty nice defensive showing. And I mean, I thought it was a nice showing on either side because you had the 52 Deco doing work. Every time they got behind Cherry Wave, something bad happened. And yet, Cherry Wave with Draco's Crab, I mean, that was the MVP of this game. Every time we had an eye on it, and especially, that was the game icing pick that allowed, the other member on that side couldn't even advance on the Crab, couldn't poke their head out to work on that zone because the Crab was there. Draco's positioning, chef's kiss, amazing.
And that's exactly it. BlankZ were playing great, but they were playing more as strong individuals. Cherry Wave had the team strategy. How many times that game was all four of BlankZ alive, two members of Cherry Wave, specifically CC and Draco, on that glass, and within a couple of seconds, Cherry Wave were back in control. Every single time that happened that game, they got back in, and BlankZ could not find a solution because while they're playing strong as individuals, Cherry Wave are strong enough to survive from just a mechanical individual play. They need to have that team play with coordinated specials. They want to fully wipe Cherry Wave and take control of the map.
Now, here's the next question for you, Hammy. If they're thinking, like, where... Crab, what message or what stage do you go on in order to neutralize it? You can't go Barnacle. I don't think you go Hagglefish. Where would you go here?
See, I wish I had the map list pulled up so I could see every map and like visualize it. I'm trying to think where... Well, because I'm trying to think of where a crab doesn't do good. That's kind of not a statement that can really be answered because crab is going to be annoying basically everywhere. If it was me, I feel like I would lean more into where your weapons specialize the most. And we do see our counterpick coming through. It is Mako Mart. Now, this is a curious one. I feel like this doesn't shut down the crab or the pencil. So I'm hoping that BlankZ have a specific strategy or something they're going to be leaning into in this map. Maybe we might see a weapon change up. They have a specific strategy here that we're not quite aware of.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If you don't counterpick to neutralize the other team, you counterpick to enhance your own strengths. And I see that they could sub in, I'm not sure if this player is available today, they could sub in a player, Yushi, who is a great sploosh player and junior player. They could go the support route. They could go with some of these tiny quick flanks that Mako Mart has so many of. So, they have some options, but I think it's more so about subbing out players rather than swapping these weapons, because I don't see any buckets, Hammy, on their Stendo. That's not to say that they can't play bucket, obviously. But if I don't see it, I don't know. I am a little puzzled at the Mako swap.
Yeah, I do, like you pointed out, Yushi Sploosh, because that's a tool that can be very great on Mako. That's the line I was thinking, is either you have a bucket or you have a rat weapon. You have an ink brush, you have a Sploosh, something that can utilize those side paths, get around, be annoying, ignore the objective, and just make the other team look at you. If it doesn't matter how strong Draco's crabs are, if there's a hammer behind the crab. If there's a hammer under your pencil. So that could be a way that they do it. But I'm a believer in trusting the process. I hope that BlankZ have a idea here of how they're going to take this, because this is a best of 3. If they lose this, they're going down to losers bracket, so they need to take this match.
Oh yeah, match point for them right now, and we are seeing instead a Luna Blaster come out from BlankZ, so that is the kind of rat pick that we were looking for. Do you think it's enough to get them the dub here and extend this set?
I am a Luna Blaster believer from day one, so I do think that this could help them out. They also do have the Dapple Dualies as well, not the new ones, but the ones with Soda. So they do have a couple of options here that they didn't have in the first game, but it'll still be a tricky one because you're seeing the same comp from Cherry Wave, and we've seen how dominant they were in Game 1.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The classic adage there. So we see Hobna kind of working forwards. This is going to get a nice chip pick on their the other member who scrambled forwards there due to the rat-like behavior. As CC is going to be trying to hold down the fort now. One member of BlankZ has gone down, so you got to be careful here with this juice, but they're able to get the Pro off your screen there as they roll forwards. But my gosh, Hammy, BlankZ, it seems like they are playing way faster and way more aggressive than last time. It's playing to their favor.
Yeah, I think BlankZ's going to realize that the aggression was working. It was just they needed the coordination on top of that. So they're upping this aggression a little bit more to be able to play, hopefully work together. You get a couple of trades here. It does leave BlankZ in a numbers advantage, trying to hold this zone as Draco is desperately painting. Since it's a larger zone, Draco's having a harder time painting because it's not the tiny, tiny little zone that we saw in Undertow. So that does help out BlankZ a lot in this situation when they have these numbers.
And we see the members of BlankZ rolling forwards again, up in numbers too, and that is almost certainly going to be the zone here. Oh gosh, 2 members down. Can they not finish this? We got one more on. Hobna gets picked. They do get it anyways, and BlankZ. Hammy, I thought they were going to blow it for a second there, but they rammed that through. That comp was a transformation of that team. And folks, we've got a set now.
Like I said, I was believing in the process. You know, when you see these odd counter picks from, you know, like lower level teams, like you're watching your FTIUs, your lowings. So like, you know what, maybe that wasn't a good counter pick. But when I see people who are way better than me at the game make a counter pick, even if I question it, I'm gonna trust that process. There's usually an idea in there, and that was such a quick game that I feel like BlankZ knew that was gonna happen. They're like, no, this is our map. We have this, and they're taking us to Game 3.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I couldn't be more stoked because like you said, they made multiple changes there, which is always more exciting than just, you know, one change that kind of gets you the win. They really kind of changed up a lot of what they were doing. They added in those dapples to kind of give them another quick source of that juice. I don't think they had the shot in the first game, although I may be mistaken. So that's just a bucket of paint and some Zuka spam outputting there for them as well, which is going to help ramp up where that Luna and dapples can go if that Zuka's getting free picks. So, I mean, it was just a huge difference from them, and I mean, I feel like they gotta stick with it in Game 3.
Yeah, you know what, you're right. I focused on the Luna and the Dapple. They changed all 4 weapons. I'm looking here. Originally, they ran V-Dually, V-Headit, the Deco 52, and the Forge Pro. And then they ran the Red Dually, or the Red Dapples, Luna Neo, Splattershot, and then the Frozen Pro. So they even switched up what pro they had. So that was a full swap. I didn't even register that, and that it did work. They just completely shifted their entire comp, and it was too much for Cherry Wave to handle that game. So now, Cherry Wave's pick, right as perfect timing, Robo Ramen, going back to another singular zone mode. But this one, I love this map just for the shape of it. It is king of the hill at its purest. You have the zone atop a pedestal in the middle of the map, and every single wall, every side of the zone, 180 degrees around, is a flank route. There is nowhere to prevent a flank from happening. So this map could be huge for a more aggressive team such as BlankZ.
It could be, but now here's what I'm thinking, because if you're Cherry Wave, you don't just counterpick that knowing what just happened to you, right? So if you're BlankZ, do you almost want to reduce those 2 rat weapons to just 1, right? Do you want both the Dapples and the Luna? Even though it's a map that's so good at flanking, right? If they're both flanking and dinking and dunking and diving all the time, isn't that going to leave your pencil and your shot really vulnerable up the gut?
Yeah, it is definitely a possible thing. Again, you know, like we said the last time, we trusted the process of BlankZ, and now Cherry Wave definitely probably have some ideas up their sleeve. We do see the Headit coming back from the side of Blank, so they're kind of leaning back in the dualies as well. So they've brought back half of their first comp, half of their second comp, and we're seeing the exact same weapons, I believe, from the side of Cherry Wave.
Yeah, I like this. This keeps the speed, right? But it also limits all those flanks that we were worried about. As Cherry Wave does get the early control here, Zunix, who's been a good, quiet force on this decav, is going to get a nice pick. Very patient there. Is also looking for the edit, but content to force them back for now. Now, if you're Cherry Wave, you pick this, right? Because you're confident you can defend on it, Hammy. How do you start with that?
You have to start by not getting picked off too. But it will get Blank's first in. But yeah, Cherry Wave, they're going to need to get some specials in here. Maybe that crab from Draco we've seen so much success with will be a great tool to allow your team in if they can get that up on the glass. That's what I'd be looking for at least. And these missiles as well. Pelly sending those out to buy some space for the team. And the sodas. Cherry Wave are looking to walk in here and get some picks. They do get the zone. A couple players going to the right side will pick off Ben. And now just walking straight through, 2 down, almost out to be 3 if Zunox can hit those shots, switching targets, and unable to find the picks. But Cherry Wave are in control pretty heavily.
Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that Zunix play, though, because crucially didn't go down, was able to get the jump out and then get that pick. Just absolute crazy work. I mean, that is the skirmisher role being played to a T. But now you have Ben's missiles coming back out. You want to flip this zone sometime soon. If you're Blanks, Devil is trying to get one, is chasing CC all the way back to the enemy spawn here. Gets the cap. Now Zunix is caught. Oh my gosh, is still going to live for now with a bubble in mid. But Hammy, this is looking like it's Blank game all day now.
Yeah, Cherry Wave did get a huge lead, but Blanks are not going to let go of control here. Phazon buying time with that crab, just trying to annoy Draco and the dually v dually. Lots of bombs coming out from Cherry Wave, but not really pushing players back as far as they'd like. Devil using the Kraken to avoid those missiles, trying to push in, but getting tamed by one of the players on the side of Cherry Wave, and the flip didn't come through. Blank still counting down. 2 players on each side looking for a lead, but it's just fights right now. The lead will flop over to the side of Blank's. Cherry Wave will get back control, though.
Oh, Zonix has 2 and is looking for more, but with that amazing bubble, with this amazing survivability, has given their team another chance as Draco with that crab forcing a jump out is trying to get more, chipping more in the backfield there. But we have missiles coming out on both sides. Pelly now launching theirs as soon as Blanks is trying to strike at the perfect time, too, since these penalty points are going down. Is about to give a lead flip. Not if the Kraken has anything to say about Onyx. Dancing in the middle here is going to get taken down by flip the Cherry Wave, but it looks as though Blanks is going to get this zone back.
I did like Cherry Wave's patience there. Again, those missiles being held by Pelly for so long, waiting for the most optimal time to use it where it would get them the most time to get back that lead. They do still need to get this map back. That penalty's not going to last very long, and we've seen how aggressive Blanks can be. But Cherry Wave, they have the crab ready, they have the bubble, they have utility to take back the zone, and with Zonox getting a couple of kills, it's the cherry on top, and that'll be the map going purple again.
Oh my gosh, what a great game we've been treated to for Game 3 of this set, as Devil is now stuck in a sea of purple, is doing an aerial fight with Pelly, who's able to get those shots to land in midair. Now, setting up for their final lockout is Cherry Wave, looking to get one pick or a few trades to try and send this thing to a knockout. Pelly painting up. We see on the front lines, Draco's crab is ready once again. Or I'm sorry, that's Phazon's crab, excuse me, who's looking to get Draco after chipping Zonix. Oh my god, 2 chips for Blanks, and it looks as though they're now going to have a chance to...
Yeah, it's very close here for Blanks. Again, that penalty doesn't last very long, but Cherry Wave have the range to just take back that zone. They're allowing Zunox to just run into the zone again. Devil's ignoring it because they're going in with the crab, but once again, that Kraken keeps getting tamed to this match. The shots from Cherry Wave are able just to hold him off long enough to survive. But here we have Hobna being a little bit aggressive on that head. It does go down in a trade. Cherry Wave still in control, cutting through their own penalty, looking to maybe even extend the lead with the soda, and all 4 there for a refreshing drink.
Last chance for BlankZ as we see the missiles coming out. Phazon is looking for some more crab magic. Chips one, giving numbers to BlankZ. That zone is looking like it's about to flip here. You see Devil chasing one. A super jump in is Zonix trying to heroically save their team, but will go down. And BlankZ now has numbers again as Devil is working the front lines. Pelly's missiles are instead coming out. This is the Hail Mary shot for Cherry Wave, who's trying to retake control of this zone. Pelly and Zonix are both trying, but can't quite get it. We enter overtime. Zonix's bubble gonna refill their ink. Zonix gets one! Zonix gets two! But it's not enough as Cherry Wave comes out of this set the victor.
That ending there, the first time, maybe even this set, we saw Cherry Wave throw the patience out the window and say, okay, know what? We're going. We have two people here. Doesn't matter. We win this fight. They pushed in. It took them a little bit longer than they were hoping for, but they did cap that zone, end the overtime, and will take the set 2-1. You know, it's one of those sets that on paper makes sense because each team won their own counter pick and they won game one, so that's it for them. But this was a battle from both of these teams getting to this point.
Yeah, I mean, a terrific showing by both squads. And right down to the second, too. I mean, both teams, especially this last game, were fighting for that one tooth and nail. Hammy, you don't see games like that often, and if that's how this day is going to start, we are in for a treat, folks.
Yeah, and again, this is seed 16 and 17 of the tournament. On paper, there's still 15 other teams that are better and better and better than these competitors. So there is a lot of action that's going to be here today, and I'm very excited to be part of it as we get to slowly make our way through the bracket. Again, this is a double elimination zones only bracket. Just your standard for how I feel like a lot of zones only tournaments going to use this format. But yeah, huge opening to the day for Cherry Wave. Though they will be playing either FTWin or StarZ Impact after this, so maybe a tough match ahead of them soon. Yeah, listen, I don't want to throw shade at StarZ Impact, but they'll play either of those teams. And
there's no shade thrown, my friend. There it is.
As I was saying that FTWin won. Yeah, they'll be playing FTWin, so best of luck to Cherry Wave. We'll check in on you later. But next up, we will have other sets. I'm not quite sure when we are going to.
Oh, I gotcha. Hey, we're rolling right on into winners round number kinda duck motif, which is mostly duck motif with some extra spice in there. And we've got BADVXLLIAN, who's going to be going against them. I mean, that's Mechanical Cats, that's Splat, that's Kaora. We've got some heavy hitters in this one too, folks. We're getting up into your higher seeds. These are our seeds number 8 and 9, so a step up from what we just saw, which is what you should expect in a tournament like this.
Yeah, like the last game, a neck and neck in seed, but we're at half, or I guess double, wherever you want to put it, like of the seed number from 16 down to 8. So both these teams coming out of the previous round with sweeps, 2-0, nice and clean. And now they're playing off against each other. So one of these teams gonna taste defeat for the first time today and gonna be upset. So we get to see who is gonna continue that winning streak and try to make it all the way into round 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting, right? Because every single round you've got to face some big old intimidating team here. And I mean, if we talk about Duck Motif too, this is a team that took the scene by storm what seems like a year or two ago now. Maybe even longer, but has just been an ever-present force at that top level. Red Shell is personally one of my favorite players in the scene, so I gotta say that's my biased commentary rooting interest, but I'll try not to let that impact me too much.
Yeah, well, I mean, here, if we're picking favorites, you're rooting for Red Shell during the Sun of Cat and Duck Motif. I've got my eye on Splat from BADVXLLIAN. Splat is a player that has been around for a long time. The fact, like, when you name yourself something like Splat in a game like Splatoon, like you're one of those default, like, you've been here for a while, you're good at the game, you know what you're doing. Like, looking at all the badges across your Sendo profile, like, Splat's been around the block, and I'm looking for some of that nice, clean, just like step up from run-of-the-mill shooter gameplay coming into this. So we'll get to see which of these teams is really going to take the cake. Again, we're now in best of 5 territory. We are in round 3 because we skipped round 1 because there was like, what, 4 total matches in round 1. It's how the bracket laid itself out.
Yeah.
So best of 5s going forward. A little more wiggle room. You know, in that last set we saw of BlankZ versus Cherry Wave, that could have gone differently if they had more matches to have that safety net. So now we really get to see if these teams are going to go the distance or if one of these, whichever side will be a lot stronger than the other.
Yeah, and I mean, one matchup that I desperately wanted to see that maybe some of you folks in the chat wanted to see as well was the brush battle of Red Shell and Mox, who are 2 of the best brushes in the Western scene. But unfortunately, it looks like Mox ain't playing in this set, or maybe not today. I'm not too sure. So that was a big bummer for me personally when I saw Mox's scratched out. It's like, oh, dread. No brush mano-a-mano duel. But if we're instead talking about where these folks are going to play, Hammy, Scorch Gorge zones? We were talking about Undertow zones not being really a tournament map. This is like a whole different story. Scorch Gorge zones. In a tournament of this caliber, I'm fascinated to see what kind of comps we're going to get.
Yeah, I remember playing Scorch Gorge Splat Zones in like 2023, probably. This is a map mode that is in Splatoon 3. That's about as much as I can say about it, as we're already getting straight into the game. I hope that these teams have I'm sure these players have had practice in it. You know, a lot of these higher level players, they have been playing in zones only environments. Already seeing a lot of weapons that we're kind of expecting from some of these players. This is just going to be a bloodbath, I guess is the easiest way that I can put it.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I'm not surprised by Red Shell on that brush. I do kind of like this mid-range comp that kind of Duck Motif is going with the Fro-Pro and the Dooley Squelchers, but do you think just Red Shell is enough offense up front, Ham?
Honestly, if you're hyping up Red Shell that much, very well could be, but it's nice to see a little bit more aggressive prowess just because we know how strong these players are going to be. Already, BADVXLLIAN in control, but a couple players of Duck Motif are kind of in the zone, just opting for these kills first. They know they don't need to pressure the objective right now because they can just get a good lead later. Though BADVXLLIAN refusing to get picked off, just staying alive as long as possible, giving themselves a numbers advantage.
Yeah, the survivability is nice, and I could see it being the additional paint output that BADVXLLIAN has. You've got the Splash, you've got the 52, who are both just dumping stuff out here, as Exnor also on the pencil is going to get a nice chip pick there. The Splash player is going to be trying to maneuver. Crab is going to be imminent, finding Caden in the corner there, but a lot of blue is able to swarm in up front in the meantime. 2 jumps coming in from Kai, nicely jumping in on those grates so that the Crab can't get him. And it looks like Duck Motif has, oh my gosh, really cleaned up in mid now. They've got full...
Yeah, this is what kind of Duck Motif we're looking for. They're looking to get that numbers advantage where painting the zone is just like a leisurely side activity. You know, they don't need to really pressure it. Both teams have similar amounts of paint output, so they're just opting to just go for those picks. You know, you mentioned that Red Shell is kind of their main frontline aggressor, so they're really leaning into playing more aggressive as a team to make up for what they lack specifically in comp.
Oh, nice pick there by Caden, and that's where you can see the shiftiness of that dual Squelcher come into play. Can they get the Blaster, who found themselves a little bit extended there? Really nice by kind of Duck Motif. Now, it's clear, right, that you can use these kinds of comps if you're comfortable in these ranges, and it's clear that these players are. Now, if you're BADVXLLIAN, how do you counter a comp that is, aside from the brush, difficult to break in on?
Utilize some of these specials and let them walk at you. See the Dooley Squelchers here on the bridge. That is a perfect place for a pencil or a blaster to just pick them off nice and clean, but they were pushed out of position, unfortunately. Though they do have the numbers back here. They're starting to stagger kind of Duck Motif a little bit. Here comes that Booyah as the initial way for them to get back in. A lot of players going different directions. Splat using the Crab aggressively on this side. Will take down Red Shell, opting to try to take down Kai as well, and does, I believe, get the pick, or someone be able to pick them off. And look at those picks. That is how you break back in if you're BADVXLLIAN. That answers your question right there.
That is great. That is exactly what you do, is you use Kit to outrange the rangy, I almost said the rangy Pokemon, but that makes no sense in this context. I don't know why I was thinking of the word Pokemon there. Anyways, BADVXLLIAN is looking for a lead swap here, but two specials coming out on the side of Duck Motif here. You see the Missile and the Rain. Going to be doing a lot of paint, thankfully, outside the zone, but the Pencil for Duck Motif will go down. Red Shell trying to make, but is not able to. And now with 2 down, they lose the 52 up front, but still have a 2-person advantage, does BADVXLLIAN. Ticking down towards Oblivion is that counter there. With the Crab coming out, it seems like they may have it on. Oh my gosh, the Crab's about to be picked. Oh, just enough of this zone! They do, and BADVXLLIAN continuing their fortune that began in last night's Sendo Q set, where they also won. BADVXLLIAN starts out 1-0.
Yeah, that ending there, I could see in Splat's eyes the plan. Using the Crab on top of the zone, everyone looked up at the Crab. They didn't paint the zone, and so they just let that timer tick down until they got that KO there. Because you can see when Splat rolled, it's like, cool, I just sit here and we win. I don't have to shoot anybody. I just have to keep jumping around and make people stare at me. Especially making Kai, the pencil player inside of kind of Duck Motif, look at you is very, very good. Because that's their main paint output. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about here. Look at this. Everyone's looking at Splat, and Splat is not dying. This zone is not getting painted. Time's out. Boom. The win for BADVXLLIAN.
Just crazy. Just crazy. And I mean, it's not often, right, that you're watching a streamed tournament and you get one banger set is banger. It's just so rare. At some point you have to sit for like 30 minutes and just watch one team smush another. But luckily, that's not what's happening so far today. And it could be because it's all zones, right? We don't have to worry about Rainmaker cheese. We don't have to worry about the tower cheese. We are just focusing on zones. And Hammy, we're going to see another weird one. Mincemeat zones is what now... Scorch zones has been dictated by the TO, right? Duck Motif willingly chose this. Hammy, why would a team do that?
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if it's worse that it's team picked or that it's TO picked. I don't, like... I'm not sure... like which one I would hate more, but this it's a valid option. Yeah. I'm actually a fan of picking the weirder map mode combos because I feel like I'm not better in any certain map or mode. I'm going to be consistent, and so you need to find the holes in the other team's comps sometimes and really force them away. So looking at this counter pick, I want to take a peek again at kind of Duck Motif's comp and see because the Octobrush is very strong here. I already hate Octobrush enough as it is, but playing against one on Mincemeat is just a absolute nightmare. And the rest of the team, very supportive, very able to enable Red Shell to do many things on this map mode. And just in general, a lot of great places to set up if on the roster of kind of Duck Motif based on the weapons they're playing. So I see the vision here.
I can see the vision too. You know what, Hammy? After thinking about it for a little while, out of these straightaway sections on Mincemeat, which is why people typically don't like it. But if you're running Pencil, Dually, Squelchers, Pro, you kind of do like that.
Already, though, Splat saying, yeah, I can set up here too, getting a double on the Crab. 3 players down and kind of Duck Motif. They may have thought about their own comp, but didn't think about the comp of BADVXLLIAN because, yeah, like just that opening already doesn't bode well for your counter pick. Kind of Duck Motif, 4 players all stuck in the left side, getting picked off from the side as Cats and that Blast was able to get a sneaky pick. And unfortunately, Red Shell going down as well, trying to push up a little bit too aggressively. Already halfway through the score, Tony, and it's been less than a minute.
Yeah, this is looking a little dire for Duck Motif, especially with the booty. Cats is looking on Vexen, but Caden is going to instead trade that back out. That is going to give control over to Duck Motif, but oh my gosh, I mean, they haven't been able to gain numbers yet in this game, so you just got to wonder, how are you going to do that when you have players on BADVXLLIAN who are just so good at using and syncing up these specials?
Yeah, it's so tough to get in here. They managed to flip the zone, but they don't have a lot here. They have their... Never mind. I was going to say they have missiles ready, and then 3 go down. Cats walking in leisurely, making sure that Kai has to jump out. Right here, we're through the penalty. 35 ticks left for BADVXLLIAN. And it's just a complete, utter lockout. The dropping into the wall, can't even move. Here comes the zip, though, from Red Shell. Will get one, but there's not a lot of time left. You got to start looking at this zone. You can't ignore it like last game, because that was your downfall.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
Cats!
no.
Every last final attempt that Duck Motif was trying to put on this zone, Cats just said no with a random pulled out of the Tuckus direct, which is the best kind of direct for a blaster to have. And with Splat on that crab just lasering everybody, it is just looking like it's not going to be a great time for them to flip this zone back. They did slap that 60-point penalty on him, Hammy, but they have so long to go.
Yeah, it does. I'm getting the vibe from kind of Duck Motif that because they're playing a less aggressive comp, they're trying to compensate by being more aggressive, and it's just causing this weird position that they're putting themselves in where they're not able to just win the fight mechanically. They're also not able to hold the objective because BADVXLLIAN are just playing to their weapon's strengths. So we almost need to see kind of Duck Motif take a step back and just find a way to slowly whittle away BADVXLLIAN until they can get utter map control and get set up on their truck.
Yeah, they're like letting BADVXLLIAN dictate the pace of the game, which thus hasn't been working. Now Cat's coming in with the Booyah. They're trying to make an attempt to... They're going to need some picks to do it, and instead, Splat is going to go down due to Kai's pencil work there. Two members will go down, almost getting Cats as well as Kai, and now, suddenly, Duck Motif is making a run at it. They are halfway through, looking to flip that lead back.
This is what we needed to see from kind of Duck Motif, the common collected approach. Avoid this Booyah, let it come down, let's just chill out a little bit here. You lose the numbers here, so let's play calm. Red Shell's gone, just stay alive and focus on that life. Yes, distract Splat, they look away. This is what kind of Duck Motif needed. 20 ticks away from a KO.
Oh, Red Shell.
Less than that for a lead. Red Shell walking in, taking down 2 and being a huge distraction. The numbers advantage for kind of Duck Motif will probably get them the lead here with 3 down. It's just Xnor left on that pencil. They will lose the lead, and there goes the KO. Kind of Duck Motif figured out how to win. They found it halfway through that game, and they will bring this game, this set, into a tie.
They said, yeah, that's why we picked Mincemeat, guys. Went exactly to plan. Halfway through, you're right. They realized, hey, wait a second. I think it was that exact realization that you had. They said, we're letting them play their comp. We got to play our comp. We got to slow down. There's a reason why we picked Mincemeat. It's because when we're on these straightaways, we control these angles. With the pencil, with the pro, with the dually squelchers and the brush to flush people out into those first 2 weapons. And I mean, they got the crucial picks when they needed to down the stretch. And holy smokes, Hammy. Once again, folks, we've got a set. We've got a 3-game banger.
Yeah, I'm glad this is happening too, because you were telling us, yeah, we're going to have banger set for banger set. I'm like, oh, I really hope that BADVXLLIAN doesn't just start a sweep going here. And may have been brought upon themselves, because kind of Duck Motif did pick Mincemeat. But as we mentioned, you know, I feel like after one of those wipes where Cats got a triple kill in their spawn and Kai to jump out, they probably said as a team, why did we pick Mincemeat again? Oh, right. And then they started playing better and took that win. So now it's up to BADVXLLIAN. They have to make their own counter pick where they know that they can play to their strengths, because we saw kind of Duck Motif eventually start playing to their strengths and figure out the way to get them out. And if kind of Duck Motif can continue to play to those strengths and utilize their weapons and their comp to the fullest, that's going to make this a little more difficult for BADVXLLIAN going forward.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm just curious to see what they pick of traditional, or if they do what Duck Motif did and pick something a little weirder that maybe they feel good on. I'm curious. I mean, I know that one thing that could work with all the frontline they have, as well as the great pencil that they have, is if they want to go funky. I'm not saying this is the good pick. I'm saying this is the funky pick. They could go like Wahoo zones, which was prevalent way back in the very beginning of this game. It would be seen in tournaments. That would give them a good avenue for the crab, but let's take a look. Barnacle, that is the traditional pick that you want to go if you want to make use of that crab, if you want to make use of your arguably superior short-range fighting tactics that BADVXLLIAN has. I think that is what you do, and I'm excited to see it. But Hammy, this one could still go either way.
Yeah, Barnacle and Dime, in my head, it exists as Mako Mart Jr. It is Mako Mart, but less extreme. The flank routes are more obvious. You know, there's only the stacks are more It's not like a single entity. It's your half of the map. So it can be utilized a lot the same way as Makomar in looking at BADVILLIAN's comp. They have the stronger, more aggressive comp, as I said, with stronger frontliners, better flanking options, while still having a lot of great map coverage. So kind of Duck Motif could struggle here a little bit unless they control those flank routes. If they set up perfectly and prevent those streets, I think they might win the fight in the zone.
I think they could too. So let's see if there's any, and thus far no, other than the variety of brush that Red Shell's going to be with that very vanilla one. And on the other end, no. I mean, no changes. These teams know that they're both good at what they do. It's just going to come down to who's able to execute their plan better.
Yeah, and actually Red Shell did play the vanilla Octobrush in the second game, so this is a complete same comp from both sides from game 2. So already, though, kind of Duck Motif pushing up a little bit with that soda, but getting immediately pushed backwards by Splat's Crab. But these missiles coming in will once again buy them space, so both teams kind of just, it's a little tug of war here. Push and pull until one team can get an advantage. BADVILLIAN do get the zone and get some paint out, but losing one of their members will slow down this push just a little bit, especially a 3-person flank from kind of Duck Motif. Hello! Will get them some control.
Well, I guess if you send everybody all at once, it don't matter. They have long-range shooters. Is the other one. Vexen putting a hex on the opponent there. Missiles at the ready is going to try and push that pencil back even further. There's Red Shell! Oh my gosh, Export! I didn't even know they're coming up there and is able to get the pick there. Red Shell jumping back to their teammates. A lead flop for Duck Motif. And now you've got to take your next fight very carefully, but no, Cats goes down as well. Still on the offensive as Duck Motif. They lose one up front, but trade it back out to maintain an ever so slight advantage. Hammy, this could be the set right here.
Yeah, kind of Duck Motif have the range and the utility to keep BADVILLIAN away, but a couple specials will do them in potentially here as they do lose Kai. That's their longest range and most supportive weapons. They have to kind of back up and respect this here. Right now, it's just a stall to get points. They realize that if they don't KO here, they can at least make sure they have a strong lead going into the rest of the match because there's still plenty of time. Only a couple of flips will keep that lead for them, but just enough picks from both sides will allow BADVILLIAN to kind of take control. But kind of Duck Motif, they're not pushed all the way out yet.
Yeah, all the way down to 8. The key there is going to be that you're still in it. You do get one to try and help things, but your 2 goes down up front, traded back out by the Crab, forcing a jump out, 2 jump outs, and can Splat get even more with this? Can they find the pencil up there? No, but somebody else does, and now we're in the same situation, but on the other side. Duck Motif has to be very careful about when and where they move here. You see the missiles coming out. Nobody has dropped yet, except for, I believe that's the Pro. Another one drops up front. Is going to get picked by the Booyah Bomb. Oh my gosh, and this could be the game right here as Cats is trying to ice it. Chipped from their teammate here. We are less than 10 ticks away from taking the zone. 10 ticks away now from a knockout. Another pick, a trade. Duck Motif has to race here, but they can't. And BADVILLIAN will take the set, continuing their dominance from Sendoku the other night. They will move on to the next round.
This is actually a best of 5, so we still have a little bit more distance.
Oh, what have I done?
Yes. Well, now you've cursed it, though. Now BADVILLIAN won't win the next game because you said they were going to go the next round. So we're going to be in for a long one here. But yeah, in that game, at that ending point, I want to point out, I'm not even sure if Caden and Vexen were ready for that Booyah Bomb from Cats. I'm not sure if they realized that Cats saw them, that Booyah able to pick off Vexen, able to get like the nice like angle here onto Caden and allow the rest of the team to kind of help that out. So I don't even feel like they're... Oh, and did Red Shell die to the splash wall? Hold up.
Yeah, I think
Did I see that right? That last attempt from kind of Duck Motif wasn't even like bad. Like they did everything right. That was just unfortunate how it rolled out. Just getting caught off by a Booyah Bomb, running into a splash wall will in zip. Like those kind of things that just happen and they compound it all at once. So game 2 and 3, we saw the team that made the counter pick get absolutely pounced on early game and then bring it back right at the end. So now the big question is, what is kind of Duck Motif gonna pick for game 4? And are they gonna lose immediately? Or are they gonna and bring it back in the last half? Crab leg!
Interesting. Okay. So
Are they...
part of me wonders if you have a head it in your back. Toss on those great. And I think that if you are Duck Motif, Let me check and see. I don't know if they have a headed event, but that would be almost preferable to pencil, I think, here. That way you could get a Splatling up on those crates and try and move a little bit more quickly, Hammy. What do you think?
Looking at kind of Duck Motif's comp, like, I see the vision. They have the missiles from the new Pro. They have, the pencil, and it said they're likely a headed in the back. But you're also, it can be risky. You're picking Crableg into a strong Splash Crab player. You're picking it into a S-Blast player. BADVXLLIAN have a lot of utility for this map as well. It's different utility. It's utility that's specifically made for shutting down your own utility.
Yeah.
So kind of Duck Motif are going to have to play very carefully in how they approach this, because it could go very badly very quickly. But I still think that this is in the favor of kind of Duck Motif if played correctly.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I mean, it could go either way, right? Like, if we're going to follow the pattern that we've seen, bad 3 to 4 minutes of this game, and then we'll lose in the final minute, which is what we've seemingly had trading back and forth here. I mean, if you're Duck Motif, these teams have not been changing comps, right? So you pick this for a reason. Let's just hope that their reason can be a little bit more remembered right from the start. But we do see a comp change. That 52 from Mahiru is going to go to a Fro Pro. That's going to give them a little bit more versatility on some of these long portions of mid here.
Yeah, and like I said, the Frozen Pro is a great tool on this map. It has the range, it has the missiles, so switching to that makes a lot of sense, especially with Duck Motif already running one of their own. So BADVXLLIAN taking the first control of the map, already being aggressive. Cats, that is a disgusting angle to get a kill that early in the game. Already just pushing through these grates. No players that kind of Duck Motif can even challenge that right now. The missiles will clear it out, but already down past 40 points for BADVXLLIAN. Great opening.
Yeah, I mean, and here's why BADVXLLIAN has been so automatic on the Crab and the Blaster. They are so good at manipulating that AoE to the Red Shell is able to help chip that Booyah, is trying to go in on another teammate, can't quite. And, I mean, they haven't been able to flip this zone back. Splat, what did I just say? Automatic. Getting these picks in the air, just insane tracking work to maintain the zone. Now, they do give up those penalty points, but Hammy, they've been in full control this whole time.
Yeah, it's the stall out is something that's very important in splat zones, because you're perpetually either gaining more points or preventing the other team from getting them. Cats doesn't even care about the objective, though. Cats is just hitting like corner shot after corner shot every time the camera slides over. Splat with a crab ready in the top right is going to be a menace in a couple of seconds whenever that comes out. Just right now opting to not waste it, waiting for when kind of Duck Motif wants to walk forward. It's playing into this stall I was just talking about. They're waiting to get as many points as possible, and they're not trying to fully commit before they just lose all of their utility a bit too early. Though, Mahiru, wait! 2 picks without looking at anyone. What just happened there? That will be 3 down, and right now control is being fought by both teams, but with another pick from Cats, it's looking like it might go to BADVXLLIAN.
I swear, like you said, Cats is like, every time we have the camera, Mom, watch this, and we go to Cats, and Cats does something crazy. So Red Shell, again, is working with this Zipcaster, trying to make something happen. Gets a nice pick on Mahiru there, and now just one fight win, and Duck Motif is right back in this with a lead.
Yeah, a lot of the set so far has been Cats and Red Shell both tugging at like the pant leg of the cam operator, being like, hey, no, watch me. No, watch me. But then, of course, we have everyone else, Splat, Caden, all these other players who are like trying to get their moments of glory as well, trying to get some more of those picks. Splat has been a very strong contender in this game, just using a lot of strong crabs. Today, both these sets we watched today have just been dominated by strong crab players, which is unfortunate from my POV because I'm terrified of crab. But looking at these scores, by the way, kind of Duck Motif got 1 point away from a lead swap, but couldn't quite get it. BADVXLLIAN able to hold on just a little bit longer and continue. Once again, the crab coming out will push away Kai, but the crab actually getting traded will put kind of Duck Motif in a good spot to get back this zone.
That was kind of a crazy play by the pencil to tap kill some folks up in aggro, which now has given Duck Motif an insane. You've got the stagger online, Shell able to but Caden will go down up front. Vexen now is trying to rotate up as that frontline, midline presence here. Has the missiles at the ready, though, so is going to get set to use them as soon as BADVXLLIAN is looking to push. And one more pick does Duck Motif need, and they have almost secured a lead flip. They do get one from, I don't know if that was the wave breaker or if that was the actual guns bullets that did it, but that is going to be a lead flip. However, Splat, looking to get one, is trying to get another one. The zone flips again, Hammy, and we see another amazing zones game between two talented teams.
Kind of Duck Motif taking the lead in the last minute, kind of like what we've seen this entire set so far. The team that picks the map takes the lead towards the end, but they need to hold out this lead. Not a lot of points left before BADVXLLIAN can flip it again. Red Shell, though, aggressive individual Zipcaster here with the rest of the team, doesn't really buy them as much space as they may have been hoping for, but a quick jump back with some missiles will get them in pretty quickly. They will lose the lead. Less than a minute left. It's going to be pretty close, but with those numbers, they can take this and they can start a stagger, but Cats has other plans.
Wow, that jump out can be huge, Hammy. Getting a pick and then Cats is ready to roll with that Booyah Bomb coming back out, which is going to be important. You see the Crab coming out from Splat as well, trying to get one. Let's keep an eye on what this Crab does. Is going to get one member of Duck Motif. That timer ticking down. Oh my gosh, so close. Can they maintain this zone despite being down one? Red Shell is going to get one instead. Zipcasting to try and cause some havoc in the back lines. Get another one. Now it's just Splat who's scrambling up onto the brakes. It's going to pick Red Shell. Traded back out. Now we're into overtime. Only about 25 ticks does Duck Motif have, ticking ever closer. Missiles at the ready for Vexen during this overtime period, popping them right now. Keep an eye on what's going on up front there, as well as the missiles are going to get two, and that's going to be a tied 2-2 set for Duck Motif. This one ain't over yet, folks.
That last little bit for kind of Duck Motif, it's not a question of how, it's a question of when. You have the utility ready. You need to find the perfect moment to use those missiles to push forward and to apply that pressure. And they timed it perfectly, getting all those players down on the side of BADVXLLIAN, just allowing them to kind of just hang out and just let that zone, that lead flip over in their favor in overtime. And yeah, we've continually seen this same pattern the entire set, and it's brought us all the way to Game 5.
It really has, and I'm so glad that it is a fight, because this one deserves 5, Hammy. These two teams are going at it, continuing their rivalry from last night. I mean, I think that the story of this game and why this tournament is so interesting is because this set would not be as fascinating if we didn't have these counterpicks going on, right? Like counterpicking to Mincemeat and seeing that transformation in Duck Motif in that game. Barnacle and Dime, a similar thing happening with BADVXLLIAN continuously ramping up the pace of their offense. And then this game, which was so back and forth and was really dictated by each team's missile use and special use. And I mean, it's all about the execution at this level. And if you're a fan of watching these high-level teams execute things with precision, even while losing, this is the set to watch.
Yeah, and I alluded to that, at the beginning of our block before we even started any of our matches, is it's the variety here. This is, a lot of people complain that watching Splat zones might be boring, but we've seen a lot of wacky stuff coming out from all of the teams we've seen so far today. Just, look under me. Look, what are we looking at here? Scorchboard, Mincemeat, Metalworks. This is not a thing that you should be seeing, but we're seeing it, and they were entertaining. They were close. They were very hype matches. And so, yeah, I love seeing that these teams get to go all the way through all 5 of these games because it's close. I said the last set, like, if it had gone longer, would it continue to go to a Game 5? Would one team kind of break through? And we're seeing these teams be neck and neck going through the set and, again, fighting to not go down to the loser's bracket. They want to stay in this winner's run. Going to Umami Ruins may be the ticket that BADVXLLIAN needs to go into the next round and play FTWin.
Yeah. I was just going to say FT Rio Cherry Wave. But, I mean, for Umami Ruins, Hammy, I like this pick for both teams, right? Because Umami Ruins has a lot of quick, easy ways to get around through one of the zones, which benefits BADVXLLIAN. But you know what else it has? Is the zones themselves can be pretty easily defended by a well-positioned Pro, or Dually Squelchers. This is going to be a fun one that, again, similar to Barnacle, is going to just depend on who's executing better. And I love that for Game 5 of this set.
Yeah, a lot of Umami Ruins, especially zones, is a question of who wins which side. If you win the right side, you cut around and go behind the left, you pincer the left, and then you also win left. So whichever team can win a side first will dictate how the middle of the map goes, because it gives you so much leverage to just kind of conquer the rest of the map. And then after that, it's a question of, how do you push up in the hill? Do you stay back in mid? There's a lot of options on this map for when you're doing the holdout in the zone. So I feel like these players can be creative in how they're going to tackle this.
And BADVXLLIAN will be keeping Mahiru on that. I thought it worked. Despite the. Do you think it's also the right move?
You completely cut out that entire question, so I have no idea what you asked me, but I'm going to agree with whatever you said.
Oh, awesome. Hopefully you can hear me now. Don't worry. But
yeah,
we can't.
Your microphone's still cutting out, so I'm going to take it here. So already, though, BADVXLLIAN, with the first initial lead of this game, they are losing those numbers, though, so they're keeping on to the control, but not very much. Again, they're running that tried and true comp they've been using all set. Kind of Duck Motif, though, Red Shell on that new ink brush. That's probably what you were alluding to, and your mic was cutting out. But hasn't been able to get them much value yet. We haven't seen any of those Krakens coming out just quite yet in this game. Actually, I do hear it. There it is. Red Shell and the Kraken can safely ignore those missiles, looking for any potential picks, or maybe even kind of letting kind of Duck Motif get in here, because they're going to need to get a cap pretty soon, or else BADVXLLIAN might just take this whole set pretty clean.
Yeah, it does look as though BADVXLLIAN has been pretty dominant. Now getting the brush. I mean, I was underneath my computer desk fiddling. How's this one going so far?
There's only 15 ticks left. Your mic is still cutting out a little bit, but BADVXLLIAN are looking to end this game nice and clean. Not even giving us any time to even be able to commentate it, but the flips will kind of slightly go in the favor of kind of Duck Motif. They have the numbers now. They just need to get the zones if they want to stay in this set and not go down to the loser's bracket. But Splat refuses to let this zone flip. One of these teams will eventually cap, but we still don't know who is going to be. The crab comes out, gets one, and there it is, BADVXLLIAN cap, but not quite yet. Okay, there's the wipeout. Finally, something is decided. BADVXLLIAN, in a relatively quick fashion, take that last match and now take the set. So I believe SofaKing is fixing their microphone, so I'm going to take the solo for a second. But yes, I'm so glad that went the distance. That was such a good set. As much as that last match was very one-sided, we saw the 100-0 from BADVXLLIAN. Kind of Duck Motif, they almost held it out. Again, that... look at how long in this replay this zone holdout goes for. Splat is just desperately painting on that right side. I believe a player from BADVXLLIAN also on the left side painting out. Just no one can figure out how to cap this zone and really push out the other team until BADVXLLIAN get the wipeout, ultimately take it. So huge shoutouts to BADVXLLIAN for that. Again, best of luck taking on FTWin. But yeah, we're going to go to a quick break. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be back very, very soon. We have more best of 5 Splat subs coming up for you. We'll be back soon.
From my tears, so sincere, turn gray skies to blue. You won't ever change your ways, doing what you do. Well, you can keep on talking, talking. No one say no, we nothing, nothing. The Ain't no love like a real love, but it goes so fast. All tied up like a captive. I'm to you. Used to pay to my moonlight, standing on rainbows, playing it cool. I haven't felt this in ages, and I know my patience. So won't you please stay a bit longer? You're making me strong.
Welcome back, everybody, to SWS. As we're slowly getting SofaKing back onto the webcam because it didn't load in. But SofaKing is back. Hello to the world. Sofa, say hi.
I hope I'm back. We'll see. I was just telling folks in between that I don't think I have ever had any sort of technical difficulties like this while streaming. So I felt so bad that my mic was acting up the entire time. But you know what? Who cares about mics acting up? Who cares about technical difficulties? We've seen some great games, and you guys don't need us to know that these are great games, right? But either way, Hammy and I are here to guide you through to some more. We seem to be following, Hammy. We were talking about this off stream. We seem to be following the future victims of FTWin. Is that right?
Yeah, it does seem like every time we commentate a team, they go into the next round and face FTWin and get swept and go to the losers bracket. Which is kind of inevitable when you're in an event like this. But that being said, it still gets you a better standing. It still allows you to get further in the bracket and have an easier time in losers bracket. You know, don't have to make as many scary matches where you're kind of close to getting knocked out. But yeah, looking at this bracket, we've been lucky on stream. A lot of sweeps across the board, and we've been seeing nothing but like going to the last match every set. So, and already getting into this next game, didn't have time to talk about it. We are going to see BONG versus new meta here on Mahi Mahi Resort Splat Zones.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting one, right? Because you've got the 13th seed full of good players, BONG, who is kind of coming up, having dispatched some tougher opponents here. But new meta, we were saying any team with Isabel on it is going to be a tough out. In spite of that, though, right away the pencil goes down. BONG's control early on, but Zuka's out for new meta.
Yeah, and looking at new meta's comp, I cannot think of any other word but annoying. You have the new Mini, you have the Tetris, you have the Ink Brush Nouveau, and of course a pencil to top it all off. Those are going to be weapons that are just going to be just difficult to get rid of, difficult to manage. So BONG, they're running a very strong traditional meta comp, and they're going to need to make sure that they can prevent new meta from just doing what they want, because they're already about to transition the stage into the new water level.
Oh my gosh, and they get a Zuka pick to go along with it, another one rushing up and getting a trade, and now, oh, the Tetris is going to go down to Great, who rushes zone, I guess, despite being the only one up, is going to go down. That ain't going to help that ticking timer of the zone here, but you do see a Zipcaster, you do see strikes, the pencil coming out. Lulu, I believe, sees the pencil and is going to smash it with the hammer. The zone does flip, but this seems like new meta's in full control.
I don't know what that slider was for. I think that was just celebratory, just sliding to the side of the screen. But Lulu is just continuing to get pick after pick on this right side and just, again, be annoying, letting, I believe, Isabel jump back into that right side. They, BONG did get the flip, so they will have that penalty to work with. But Ori by themselves on these islands, waiting for some backup, potentially getting some strikes ready. Here they come, opting to let the full team run in, but the hammer will trade it out. And that loses the value of the push for BONG, because Ogrecap's just getting pick after pick, and BONG once again on the ropes with not a lot of time left.
Yeah, you know what I love about this mini? Aside from the fact that it's got a great kit, the main weapon itself is like a defensive frontliner, right? That's why we're seeing it being able to hold these spaces for so long. It can't move up very often, but when it does, Hammy, it's hard to shunt it back out.
Yeah, it's just difficult to get rid of, and BONG, I was gonna say it's one player left, but make that 0. New meta once again, just in complete control of the map. Blue, as far as the eye can see, letting these jumps just come in, and BONG still haven't found a solution to get in. They've tried using their specials together to break in, and they just get picked off, and the Zuka is going to pick off Nick, and the hammer throw missing slightly, but still not time left, and new meta might just KO this game here unless these strikes and Crab has something to do about it. There goes the flip. BONG somehow are still in this game.
I can't believe this, Hammy. This is a good one. They're putting up a fight, but every time they come into mid, it's just a disaster for them, which is unfortunate. It speaks to how coordinated new meta is. They do lose the Tetras up front, but that is kind of what Tetra do. So we see BONG trying to make some magic out of this newfound numbers advantage that they do have. The Zipcaster from Nick at the ready. Now, is there a particular special that's your go button for this game?
Looking at this, I think it might be the strikes. As much as it didn't get them as much value earlier, they still will need those because it's a great tool to cap the zone from afar. They do come out and do ultimately contribute to that zone flip. The slider from new meta coming in right after them, so not able to prevent the flip and the penalty. But if all BONG can do is just get a penalty, they still need a way to win the actual match itself, because new meta, not a lot of penalty there, still just jumping in repeatedly. We just haven't seen any solutions from BONG as these last few ticks are going to tick down. Looking for last second Zuka picks, not going to come out, but new meta just completely controlling that map the entire game, and will take it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. The set could go a bunch of different ways. I have seen plenty of sets where some team dominates game one and then the rest of the set is more even. I'm not saying that can't happen. But for BONG, it seemed like what they were doing was a lot of not losing instead of winning, and that typically is a sign that new meta may be a bit too much for them.
Yeah, it's... because, like, looking at this game, it was just dominance. That is the best way you can say it. It was too much. BONG didn't have a solution here to what new meta was bringing, and so at least again we're in best of 5 territory. We are on counter picks. BONG has the time and the space and the options to still come back in the set, but that first game definitely doesn't do great for your morale.
No, it doesn't. But here's the thing. At this level of play, morale's got to be good. Otherwise, you ain't up here anyway, right? Yeah. So I have every faith that BONG is going to come back with a great pick. Nick, obviously a great player and a great leader among that team. I have every confidence that they're going to be able to come back with a smart counter pick and make a more competitive game. But new meta could just be too strong.
And we're just going to have to wait and see, you know, how they're going to tackle this next game, as BONG has picked Hagglefish Market for their next map. Again, I don't like the last set was a fever dream. You know, the Scorch Gorge, you know, you got your Mincemeat Metalworks. Now we're on Mahi, we're on Hagglefish. We're back in familiar territory as we're getting further and further in this bracket. Teams are trying to play as confidently as possible on the maps they know and love. So Hagglefish Market could definitely be a good pick for BONG. They're going to have to be careful of those flank routes. Look at new meta's comp. They have Tetras, they have a brush, they have like the new mini with the Zukas. It's going to be kind of difficult to keep track of the other team.
Oh yeah, for sure. We do see some switch ups here, seeing the Inkjet dualies coming out for new meta. And on the other side, Grape swapping to the Crab dualies. So a few slight changes here, but overall we're kind of getting the same feel from the comps here. Do you think one or the other is inherently better on Hagglefish, Andy?
Honestly, I do think that BONG's traditional comp does have a lot of strengths here on the map, but it is just a question of if new meta is going to utilize their going for a flank. We have Ogre Cap, who I believe is just Storm using a different IGN, using those Zukas, trying to find some picks. Again, new meta, already a lot of points in the short amount of time, but Nick has a couple of things to say about that. Zipping straight into the pencil will not find the pick, but buying a little bit of space for BONG as new meta had to back out. But that splashdown is just going to erase everything I just said.
Yeah, this is a huge movement here from Nick, who's trying to make something happen here. Is going to get picked by, I think that was partially the Ink Mine and also the Brush. Now, if you're BONG, you have to flip this zone, and you use those ever-present strikes to do so, but you're still down one. Ogre is going to try and find that pencil with the Zuka. Not quite able to, but gets Nick instead. Has to scramble back from the Crab, and BONG still is looking for like a solid, what we would call a fight win, Hammy.
Yeah, and looking for that win, but new meta still in control of this map. Awaken on a flank route on the pencil, and it works out wonderfully because able to support the rest of the team as they push up. Will get that wipeout while already in control, already in the lead, and now that penalty is gone. Agree Cap dropping that Zuka, trying to look for a pick onto Nick on that side. Will not find it. Just last Hail Mary shot in case you can find anybody. Dodging that bomb, just barely. 20 ticks left for new meta before they take this game.
Yeah, and since they just were able to get the Stamper, that is almost certainly going to be it, unless the strikes are able to come and get another Miracle Cap. And Hammy, I mean, I have to applaud BONG's mental to be able to be losing both of these games and to still be trying when that's at a single-digit zone counter and to say, hey, we ain't out of it until we are out of it.
Yeah, that's the one thing that BONG has been really strong at this set so far, is just they do find a way in. They just have to stay in once they get there. That is the big question that is going to be able to find them a win in this set. But again, looking to get rid of new meta, but they're just playing so aggressive, and having a brush right on your stairs. Here comes the Crab from Grape. Will maybe buy some time on this zone, not able to get a cap, unable to just barely get that pick, trying to, get the sneaky little bomb throw over. Once again, strikes capping the zone. Will BONG stay in control, Sofa?
Yeah, they've got to try and win a fight here, and that's going to start with Nick, as you see with the Zipcaster flank. Going to try and put the pressure on Awaken here. Instead, Awaken is able to pick Nick out of the sky. Nothing is going right for BONG. They trade up front again with the Brush and the Dualies. Awaken is able to get the bucket as well. And oh my gosh, you need Miracle Strikes yet again to prevent a knockout.
But there's not a lot of time left. Ori was the last one to die, and they're the strike user, so not going to have a lot of special charge built up. 3 ticks left. Make that one the splashdown just for good measure. And new meta still continually able to keep BONG away from the zone, minus those couple of minor flips, and will take game 2, putting themselves on set point, looking for a sweep.
This is a powerful showing. This is a powerful showing from new meta, especially on a zones-only tournament. I mean, we're talking about the strikes kind of like giving BONG some new life here, but for the most part, this has been all new meta all the time. Every fight that we've had in neutral seems to be won by new meta. BONG, your back's against the wall. You've got to change something, Hammy. What would you change?
I'm not even quite sure. I think the comp is fine. I think it's just being able to tame new meta. Because, like I mentioned before, in that first match of the set, they have those aggressive rat weapons. You need to find a way to prevent them from moving up. Whether you're throwing more bombs, whether you're positioning differently, maybe even like focusing on specials and not using them on the zone, but using them to either displace or kill the opposing players. They need to find a way to put new meta on a leash. Because so far, BONG, they've been sweeping all day today in all their matches. So they are strong players. They upset a seed that is higher than new meta. But new meta are playing a very aggressive, unique comp that has just been putting BONG in a corner.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, you're not doing it without Storm having achieved what I am seeing as near mastery of this brand new weapon so early in its lifespan. I mean, if anybody is looking at really at top level or below to get a good idea of how to play this weapon, you gotta watch yourself some Storm, because they are playing it to perfection here in this set, and I'm eager to see if they can continue doing that for Game 3.
Yeah, and you know, it's because when the new mini came out, everyone's like, "Oh, this is a must-have in every comp. This is overpowered." And eventually we realized, no, it's not. It's a mini at the end of the day. Mini is a strong weapon. I love Mini. Zimmy is one of my favorite game. But if you're able to use that main weapon well, and you're able to use those beacons well, and have a team that relies on those beacons, and looking at new meta's comp, you know, we have the brush, we have the dualies, weapons that want to use those beacons to get back in the action. It makes a lot of sense for this team. So, you know, it's definitely well fit into this roster. And as you said, Storm has just been killing it on the new mini. So, yeah, it is up to BONG right now to alter their game plan, to focus more on getting rid of new meta, and then focus the zone after that. Because I think that just constantly flipping the zone and getting a little bit of penalty has not been getting them where they want to be.
Yeah, they have to find a stage for better or worse that leads to a bit more momentum, and I think Barnacle and Dime could be that stage. This is one of the swingier zone stages, I think, because it's easy to rat out people in those flanks, and then it's very quick to get into your lockout position. So if you get an early advantage, you can lock out just like that at the tip of the cap. It's very, very easy to initiate that lockout once you have that advantage, and I think that is going to be the ticket for BONG to try and steal a game here.
Yeah, and BONG's comp should be great here. They have a great comp for that holdout, and even in neutral, they have weapons that are going to be able to hold those streets really great. Looking at Nick on that Stamper, and even Ori on the bucket will be great tools to just prevent new meta from utilizing the streets.
Yeah, I also love Isabel sticking with the splashdown dualies. I think that really helped to control the front of the zone very effectively wherever they were using it. As, oh my gosh, Lulu instantly getting a pick but trading that back out. And once again, we're seeing the very first fight. BONG is losing numbers immediately. New meta with the better opening plan right away.
Yeah, new meta once again taking control of the map pretty early, but BONG just looking for some position here. Also, I'd like to know that Grape is on the Twinkles, does have that big bubbler, which will be a great tool for getting back in and just kind of having a little position of solace before they get rushed down by new meta. But, oh no, the DC, I'm not quite sure what the DC rulings are, so we're just going to have to kind of see if this game ends or if the players still hold it. I'm assuming they're ending it, yes, as they're you can see them holding up their arm because they're trying to hit the right button combination to end the match. So we will get a replay there. But
they're waving bye-bye to the DC'd member.
Yeah. But that opening, not great for BONG. New meta once again pushed down to almost halfway through the score in less than a minute. As BONG needs a stronger opening. I think that's what is giving new meta a lot of priority in this match, is just getting that early opening and then holding out for as long as they can. So BONG may need to be a little bit more aggressive, may need to just make an all or nothing play, because if they're going to get pushed out and die in the first push anyway, might as well just play even more aggressive, even more brazen, and just see if you can get in there and get that first cap.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right that when your back is against the wall and you're down 0-2, you kind of have to play risky, right? Because the fact that you can come back to win this set at all is a pretty low likelihood regardless of who the two teams are. So you kind of have to play with that big risk, big reward mindset when you're down and just play loose and hope something goes right.
Yeah, and you know, you're at the point where your back's against the wall. You're looking at potentially getting swept, and so it's kind of all or nothing for BONG here, either way. So I think they do need to take that risk and just completely barrel into new meta and fight them with their own game for that first push. After the first push, after the opening, they can go back to normal. They can do their thing. I think that if BONG is in control, as we mentioned before, they have a great comp to lock out new meta. They can prevent the brush. They can prevent the dualies. They have what it takes. They just need to get in the first place, because we've never seen them do that this entire set.
No, and here's the thing. Knowing those players, they can. I know that they can do that against this team. Now, I don't think anybody here is saying that they're 100% going to reverse sweep, but I know that the players are capable of it. I also think, though, that new meta is just on one today. They are playing hot, they are playing coordinated, and again, adhering to what we were saying before about Storm's play on the mini. Here's the thing. Perfect mini play, which I'm not saying it's perfect either, is very different to kind of what Splat 3 is, since it is more of a defensive frontliner. So seeing that and seeing it done well can throw people for a loop.
Yeah. Well, and I'm looking at BONG's history today. Again, they've only swept. And they've swept strong teams. BONG just 3-0'd a Zenith Len. I'm not sure what their name is because this person only has emojis for their name. And Riku. That is a crazy pickup. That is seed 4 of the tournament, and they got swept by BONG. BONG is playing strong today, but new meta is playing something that's so wacky and unconventional that BONG is having a hard time adjusting to this roster. And that's why I'd like to see them, you know, kind of play new meta at their own game in this opening. And then once they're in control, that's when they start playing the way that they've been playing all day. That's when they get that strong holdout, because they can win this. They just need to alter that strategy a little bit. And we've seen 3 times now them try the same thing and it fail.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. And I mean, you know, as they say, with the old saying, is 4th time's the charm? Is that what it is, Hammy? Or is that the wrong number? Maybe it's not 4th time's the charm. But we are going to see eventually as we continue on towards getting this DC taken care of. I believe we are going to be loading into Game 3 somewhat shortly. Of course, still on Barnacle. Of course, the comps can't be changed. But let's chat about the comps. Do you think Rattler Mini, is there any map where it doesn't succeed?
Realistically, no. Because I feel like the Rattler Mini is not made for any map specifically. It's made for a comp. If you have a comp that needs Zukas and you need beacons, it's there. And this is the kind of comp that needs it. You know, you have the beacons for Lulu and Isabel to get in. You have the Zuka just to be a Zuka. And there's not really any maps that Zuka's bad. There's no maps that aggressive frontliners are bad. So it really slots into your comp if applicable, and then there's not really a way to counterpick it, I don't think. Unless you're changing your weapons to specifically shut down the Rattler.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It kind of depends on what folks are counterpicking. Not that we're going to see any of that now, because we are going to load into a map where we already know what the comps are, and hopefully there won't be any more DCs. Now, if my understanding of the rules are correct, BONG has that 1 DC and that's it, so they can no longer get a replay out of it. New meta still does, so we are going to load up here. Let's take a look, Amy, if their opening is any better, and immediately it already is.
Yes, BONG playing much more aggressive and get the first cap of the game. This is step 1. Now step 2 is find some picks. Try to stay alive. Lulu's in the zone. It does get picked off. Now Nick grabbing the soda is probably going to try to help his left side. There it is, the 2v1. But unfortunately, we do see a player go down. Isabel able to get the pick, and then Nick has to jump out. So the opening worked for BONG, but it didn't go smoothly because new meta is just on something today. But these jumps!
Oh my gosh.
Only one of them will go down. But BONG, is in control. This is what they needed.
Yeah, I love this. A nice fast start as the Bucket's trying to put the pressure on Awaken. And this is kind of the inverse of what we saw in the other games. Thus far, new meta has not yet won a fight, as Lulu is, oh my gosh, in a sea of yellow with a teammate. Isabel's going to trade out with the Twinkles Doolies there. The Zuka from Storm is going to be able to get one. Moving in on Nick is going to get the Nick pick, as it were. And we are now looking at a likely flip. There it is for new meta. Can they run it back?
They have the flip, but Bong, important for them is to not get pushed out right now. They know what happens if they let New Meta take too much space. They need to try to stay here, potentially getting rid of Awaken. Here comes the strikes. Zip is in their pocket, ready to go whenever Nick decides to pop that, and the bubble as well. But 2 down. The Zuka gets 1. Another player gets picked off on the stack. Bubble coming out in an unfortunate spot. Bong, though, do have the numbers advantage. They do lose the lead, but trying to get in here. Nick finally uses that zip, getting behind Lulu, trying to get the pick, but Lulu's just a little bit too slippery. Will get some picks before going down.
And you know why they could come back so fast was because they were juiced and they had that bubble there. So I actually really like that bubble position. It didn't get them the zone until now, though. But again, they go 2 down up front, and it's just the bucket and the pencil. Now just the bucket. You've got to contend with, do I jump or do I stay? You do decide to jump out. You've got 1, maybe 2 more shots left, Hammy, until it's a knockout. The brush going down is going to give you a good start, though.
Yeah, just like the age-old question asked by the Clash, should I stay or should I go? And the option was to go. Save those strikes, or at least the special charge you have on the strikes. Get it ready, but getting picked off by the hammer, you will lose those strikes. It is just 1 player left alive, and just this penalty is gone. New Meta are only a couple of ticks away from taking this game. So Bong, they need to get back in. They're looking for an opportunity. Here comes the zip. This zip is unfortunately gonna get shut down by the Greats. That's not what Nick wanted, but will pick off Lulu, but there's not enough time to get back to the zone. They have to paint now. They have the numbers, but do they have the utility? The zone is neutral. Please, Bong, paint. I want a longer set. I'm not done commentating yet. Come on, get this cap. Someone please flip. And there it is. Oh,
Hammy's
we're
like,
good.
please somebody flip so that I can pass it off to Sofa, because I can tell you were running low on voice juice there, as I would too. But oh my gosh, finally Bong does get the flip, but they lose their next fight again. So a massive penalty for New Meta gives them a couple more chances. Lulu, diving around that pencil, is going to get the pick there. Back to relatively even are we, as Ori is building up the strikes, but they are wise to Ori's strike shenanigans now, making sure that they pick that member of the team. Awaken, looking for more, and now suddenly with 2 down on Bong, it looks as though this could be it. Lulu going down could start a counter push. Grape has the bubble at the ready. Only a few ticks left, but will go down. And that double counter at the end is going to go off. New Meta will be advancing to face FTWin, having swept Bong 3-zip.
Yeah, it was a valiant effort from Bong. Again, they finally figured out a solution in Game 3. Whether they listened to us talk about it in the off time while getting the feedback in, whether they figured it out themselves, they weren't able to... They had the solution, but New Meta still just were able to win it out and take that sweep. You know, I guess we got too greedy. We saw a best of 3 go to Game 3, best of 5 go to Game 5. We finally have to see a sweep, just something nice and quick.
Oh yeah, for sure. It is nice. I mean, I am a little sad that my mic was out for the other Game 5 sets, but that's okay. This was still an entertaining one, especially that Game 3, Hammy. I thought that Bong showed some really good fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made a little run down in losers, because they seem to be having a grand old time there, knocking off Eternal Flowers and having a decent 3-0 showing against New Meta. But we are going to be moving instead to the other side of the bracket for winners semifinals. Hammy, this is gonna be a humdinger, a great match, folks. Are you ready for number 3 seed Fruitella against number 2 seed Moonlight? After a subpar showing for Moonlight, Super Jump 5, Hammy, they need to do well today to try and book their ticket to SWS.
That's right. Both of these teams, pedestal contenders in looking to qualify today. A lot of people, like the general popular opinion, is that FTWin and Moonlight are going to be taking home the qualification seats. But Fruitella, the 3rd seed, not far behind Moonlight. Some people have been saying that they're going to get this upset, and this is the match that you're looking for. Whichever of these teams wins this match has a way better shot, because they're going to have less of a loser's bracket run to make. They're going to have better sets. Obviously, they're going to have to play after this in winners bracket finals, which will likely be FTWin. But it gives you more of an advantage going into the bracket later and have a better shot at making that grand finals to get that second place spot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you can win winner semis, it takes you to winners finals, which doesn't guarantee you that top 2 slot. But what it does do is it'll make it a lot easier to make it through losers, one less round. So this is going to be a critical set here for both teams if they're trying to make sure that they get a spot in Splat World Series. Now, we do have one other qualifier happening later, so this isn't anybody's last chance. But your chances are certainly dwindling if you can't get it done today, Hammy. Now, I fully expect Moonlight here to take care of business.
Yeah. Now, what I'm also looking at here, too, is assuming the bracket goes as planned, assuming that seeding is perfect, these teams will play again in losers bracket finals to determine who goes to grand finals. So this match is putting out the feelers. It's figuring out, how was Fruitella playing today? How was Moonlight playing today? And can we beat them later? Because ultimately, assuming that these teams aren't going to beat FTWin, again, I like to, maybe an upset's coming today. Maybe FTWin don't just get their free ticket on the winners run to grand finals. But assuming, like, worst case scenario, they lose to FTWin and they have to fight again in losers bracket finals. That's what it comes down to. So this is the mind games. This is get a sweep here and beat down your opponent to show them who's boss. That if you play later today, you can run the same thing back.
Oh yeah, for sure. And especially, hey, that works especially well, Hammy, on a single mode tournament like Zones. Like if you take a 3-0 on Zones, the next time that Zones screen comes up and you see those opposing player tags come up, you're like, oh no, here we go again. Time to go 0-4, right? So that mental fatigue starts to set in as we're now almost 2 hours deep in this event. We've got a ways to go, folks. But this set, I mean, you just got to be excited for it. With a team like Fruitella, I know earlier I said that I think that Moonlight's going to take care of business. Fruitella, like you said, could get it done any day of the week. This could be the team that challenges FTWin at the top. You never know. With players like Punchy and Aaron leading the charge for them, oh my gosh. I mean, it could be Fruitella all day. Yeah,
and like I said, it's a lot of people speculating Moonlight would probably be the team to take this, but I've seen a lot of people rooting for Fruitella. Again, groups of people like a broadcast beat, they put Fruitella as their number 2 team in like their total power ranking. So they're opting for that upset. And what I'm honestly looking forward to the most here is the counter picks, because this is where you test the waters, because any counter picks that work here could be their counter picks later today if they play again in losers bracket. Again, purely speculation, but I'm curious to see how these teams are going to tackle the counter picks. Do they brute force the popular maps like Hagglefish and Mahi Mahi? Do they bring us to Bluefin, Mincemeat? There's so many options, and there's a whole other level of mind games that can be possibly played here. But before we get to those counter picks, we got to go to game 1.
You're right, game 1. I was just going to say, on Manta Zones, I think that benefits a little bit somebody like Shadow's Tent Umbrella, right? Like, I'm imagining that on Manta with these big wide open spaces, or on a counter pick like Eeltail. Holy smokes, the tent could be the difference maker here for Moonlight.
Yeah, and not only is it a tent in general, but it's Shadowwin's tent. One of the scariest tents in all of North America. Shadowwin has perfected the craft of using that tent, and in Moonlight, having played together as a team for, I think, over 2 years now, almost 2 years now, they know how to play with it. They know how to utilize that as a team. I feel like a trap people fall into is, the tent player can work with the tent, but the rest of the team just ignores it. Whereas Moonlight know how to work that into the mechanics of their comp, which works them wonders, again, especially on a place like Zones, Monta Maria, where the tent has a lot of utility. And again, a split zone map, one of those maps where you just need one person to just kind of casually paint the zone and keep the other team from getting in. As we're finally coming into this match, and already familiar weapons on the side of Moonlight, on the side of Fruitella. I think we've seen this exact comp from different teams today. Just strong weapons overall.
Yeah, we are seeing a more traditional comp out of Fruitella, but Moonlight, with Nolan on that Fro Pro, I remember watching a bit of that previously in previous events, and it looks like he's picking it up pretty effectively here. Although Shadow does go down instantly, you see Fiesta pushing up with Nora somewhat behind here, and Moonlight, a pretty neutral opening for them. Fruittella showing some life early on.
Yeah, both teams just looking for that opportunity. Again, we see a very aggressive play from Nora. Does get picked off, though. Shadow dropping this tent and saying, okay, never mind, this is a bad spot. I'm out of here. See you later. And will survive that. Moonlight giving Fruitella the classic 100+1 penalty. And Moonlight, they can't keep that zone, but we do see a far flank from Omega that might cause damage up on the side, but does get called out. Gets one, will only take one, but puts Moonlight in a pretty comfortable spot.
Yeah, I dig this, as we see everybody getting juiced up on Fruitella, so their next push is going to be interesting. A jump in for Moonlight is not quite going to be picked until it goes around the corner there. Nora trying to get a flank up on the plat there. A nice Zuka pick from Shadow is going to keep things relatively even, but oh my gosh, now it looks like the picks are rolling in for Fruitella, despite the blaster going down up front. That's going to be a lead flip. Can Fruitella get a lockout going?
If you're a fan of Fruitella, you're definitely gonna want to see that lockout, but Moonlight has a lot of utility to get in. They have the missiles ready. They have a tent shield that's about to pop onto that right stage. Player of Fruitella having to jump out the 2v1 onto Punchy, but they will win it out. Punchy getting saved by Fiesta, and that will be a continued push for Fruitella as everyone on the side of Moonlight's down except for Basil.
Crucial special usage. And look at the timing of this juice, that now it's out. Now that Moonlight has to try and come back in, the Zuka is going to come out. 2 will go down for Fruitella there, as Omega has the bubble ready as well, trying to hunt out, sniff out where these folks may be. We saw a few laggy pencil shots, so I'm not sure if maybe there's about to be a DC. Yep. Don't call that commentator's curse. We don't like that one bit, as I'm pretty sure that, yes, we are going to have a replay going on here. We're going to reset this one, Hammy. What are your thoughts? I mean, Fruitella was coming out swinging with that one.
Yeah, Fruitella playing that so strong. I mean, obviously they didn't have the opening they wanted, but eventually they found their way back in. And when Moonlight tried to break in, it got prevented. Again, Punchy taking that 1v2 on the stage with a tent umbrella also there, managing to survive long enough, but also getting a pick while letting Fiesta, who I believe is Phoenix, also getting a pick to kind of save the day, leaving Basil alone. She had to back out and just wasn't able to get the team back in time. Now, I do believe we'll be replaying that game. It did seem like the score was kind of far down, but it may be a gentleman situation. I know a lot of higher level, from what I've seen, usually are pretty chill about gentlemaning a lot of replays, especially some of like the more like teams like Moonlight, like the more like active social like teams that have a following, because they're in it for the love of the game, and I always love to see that.
I love to see that too. Plus, you don't want to get canceled on Blue Sky for rolebooking someone, so that makes sense too. I am not 100% sure what the actual TO's opinions are. We won't pretend to espouse those here on this channel. We are simply going to cover what is actually going to happen. So, considering a replay, right? I mean, that's gotta hurt a team like Fruitella, who started off so strong.
Yeah, it's always rough to see, especially it's just every time I ever I was playing the other day and I had my internet randomly shut off because we're in the middle of a heat wave, and the rest of the tournament, I'm sitting there like looking over at my router, like, am I gonna DC again? Is it gonna happen again? Is that what today is? So it could be a little scary for Fruitella, just kind of worrying that, you know, the connection issue might happen again, because assuming we are replaying here, that's your one DC. So it can be kind of scary. You lose that safety net, but realistically, assuming no more DCs happen, Fruitella are sitting pretty here. They've just figured out how to break in against Moonlight and how to keep them out. They did it really well in that short time we saw in the game, so they just have to do it again. So on Moonlight's side, now Moonlight knows how Fruitella plays, so like they get to pregame a little bit. They gotta like, okay, like, you know, we know how we're playing this here. And now when we do it for real, it could be a different story.
Hammy, one of the qualities that I treasure most about you is your optimism. And that shows especially when you said, yeah, Fruitella, they know what to do against Moonlight. Now they just have to do it again. Oh my gosh, Hammy, there couldn't be too many harder things to do in this scene is to beat Moonlight or be beating Moonlight and then just do it again. But I love the optimism. If I were Fruitella right now, I'd be a little miffed. But then again, it was a member of Fruitella who DC'd, right? So it's in your best interest to replay. It just stinks that you're like, man, really felt like we had him on the ropes for that game one, but you gotta believe in yourself that you can do it again. What's that saying? What would Hammy do? WWHD. That's our new acronym for today. If you're Fruitella.
Yeah, and what I would do is just win personally. Like I constantly commentate Splatoon, and I'm always seeing players like die and like make bad plays, miss specials, miss shots. I'm like, what are you doing? Just hit. Just aim better, react faster, win. It's not that difficult. Moonlight, never heard of him. So Fruitella, definitely, like, again, Fruitella,
Clip that.
I believe, so Fruitella, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, got past the 50-point mark in that game. So they had a strong showing. And again, the fact that they prevented Moonlight's coordinated push in just completely shut it down. They know how to win this game. These are strong players. You know, I believe Fiesta is Phoenix, top level European player. Like, we have, again, Punchy. We have, like, all these players, they know what they're doing. There's no pushovers in either of these teams. So it really can go either way. It really does just come down to the individual play and how these players tackle it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you said, kind of going off of what you said, they don't put you in DivX for nothing. And Fruitella was a strong DivX team. Phoenix is one of the coaches for Cherry Wave, who we saw earlier. So, I mean, these guys are on a insane level. You don't make them a number 3 seed for no reason either. We're putting, the TOs are putting these folks above or on the same level as the Zenith team. And that sure is saying something. So let's see if they can put that DC aside and try and get another solid start here.
Yeah, loading into this game once again. Let's see how it goes. As again, Moonlight did kind of get that initial cap after a little bit of fighting. So Fruitella may be looking to make a stronger opening in this game. Already Phoenix pushing up pretty aggressively. The wall getting beat out by the tent will push them back, but Punchy with a very early crab, as well as some sodas from, I believe, both sides will let these players kind of run free.
Yeah, I kind of like this. Nora is trying to work this AoE, but it's going to get picked. I believe that is going to be slight advantage towards Moonlight here as the pencil is going to Basil. Of course, the ever-present Moonlight anchor is going to further extend that advantage there. You see the blaster coming back and getting picked over there in the street. And Moonlight, oh my gosh, Hammy, they are saying, hey, you want a DC and replay and give us that one? Sure, we will take full advantage.
Yeah, it's starting to seem like Fruitella aren't taking my advice of just doing it again. As you get locked out here, Moonlight already 40 points through and looking to get some more. The Zuka getting a nice clean pick over that wall, buying a little bit more time, but Punchy once again on this crab, and the Booyah coming in as well from Nora may get a little bit of a flip. No, the Booyah actually going for Basil instead of the zones, opting to get some picks. Didn't work in their favor as 3 are down. And with 25 ticks left, Moonlight might just kind of sweep through this game.
Yeah, this is a pretty impressive showing here, as Omega has to split from the team here. Is now going to be dueling 2v1 with Phoenix, gets one, jumps back to Basil, is going to be looking for more here. The blaster gets the direct, traded out by Basil. It's going to be an even showing here on the board. Fruitella does get their first zone cap, but they've got a ways to go. I mean, we've seen them run off nice pushes before. Do you think they've got another one in them?
I'd like to believe that they definitely can. Again, we've seen it before. It's definitely doable. They just have to not overstep their bounds here. They have to make sure that they shut out Moonlight. They need to work together and get those coordinated defenses against Moonlight as they push in. Again, getting Basil here would be a huge pick, but might be a little bit of overcommit as the rest of the team pops in. That's exactly what I was talking about. You need to make sure you're with your teammates and working together. Phoenix took the bait onto Basil. Omega pops in and says, hello, goodbye. And like that, Moonlight are back in control with a nice wipe.
And look at what that has led to, right? That wipe doesn't happen if you don't methodically kind of go through and check all your boxes, as it were. And now Moonlight's all set up to get a lockout. You think you've got probably 2 chances for Fruitella, 2 fights at your disposal. Punchy is going to crab out here, dropping down, forcing a jump out from Nolan. But pinching is Shadow with that Zuka. Oh my gosh! A pick and a chip from Shadow from that Zuka is a terrific showing here. Still looking for more. That's Fruitella still going to be trying that top left. Now, you've only got 1 chance, Hammy.
Yeah, not a lot of time left and no penalty either. Omega putting a bubble up in the bunker, just limiting the options for Fruitella. They all funneled into the left side, and the rest of Moonlight knew exactly what to do. And with 5 ticks left, make that 4, 3, 2. No, maybe Fruitella can hold this. Not quite 2v2, and that will be the flip. That will be the cap. And Moonlight are going to take the replay of Game 1.
Well, folks, the unfortunate DC for Fruitella, if you're joining us now, they had a pretty stellar start to the first instance of this game, but then had a DC about halfway through. So we swapped over, decided to do a replay, and Moonlight took it home in relatively dominant fashion, I would say, Hammy. We did not see the same Fruitella we saw during Game 1.
Yeah, Moonlight just... They took the opportunity. They said, "Oh, look, we've been blessed with a DC on the other side. Cool, let's play game 1 better this time." And just again, this replay is just showing Moonlight's coordination, their ability to play together, their ability just to play strongly mechanically. They're not like the US's one of the US's favorite Splatoon teams for no reason. They know how to play the game. They've been together for so long. And alluding back to what I talked about before the set started, they know how to play together, not only with Shadow's tent, but just in general. They know how to coordinate. They're all friends. They go to lands together. They like go off and do their own vacation-y things. They're always taking pictures. Like they just play games together outside of Splatoon. They are just friends. They have just like a camaraderie that is unheard of in the rest of the scene.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing. Fruitella does too, I'm sure. And that is the beauty of the Splat World Series, right? The full event isn't happening until August, right? But, Hammy, it's already begun now. We are seeing a seminal matchup between NA and EU for one of those Western slots. Now, the winner doesn't get a slot, but this is kind of indirectly a huge matchup between these 2 regions fighting for one of these tickets. This is what this event is all about. You've got EU folks rooting for EU, NA folks rooting for Moonlight, EU folks rooting for Fruitella, excuse me, and folks, cross-supporting regions for the players that they know and love. This is what the game is all about, and we are going to see, oh my gosh, I can't believe, Hammy, we're seeing Scorch Gorge zones a second time today.
North America rooting for Moonlight, EU rooting for Fruitella, and probably one freaking chat rooting for Zone Scorch Gorge. As once again,
I think we just heard who that might be in our headset.
Yeah, we have in our ears heard our lovely production person say that Scorch is good. So you know what? I'll roll off that. Yeah, Scorch is good. Let's have more Scorch in tournament. Zone specifically. Now, this is one of those counter picks I was talking about earlier. This is one of those places where this is the playground. Either way, you're probably playing the other team later today. So you got to figure out your counter picks. This is a chance for Fruitella to go, hey, Scorch Gorge isn't bad for us. Let's see if it's bad for Moonlight.
Yeah, very good point here. As we're seeing the same from either side here. Pretty traditional, Punchy on that splash. Pretty traditional meta coming out from Fruitella. Now, do you think traditional is the way to go here, or do you need to update, with the decav and the Fro-Pro on the other side?
Actually, sorry, I got distracted by both players there dying immediately. Short circuit my brain. I'm not sure what happened to me there, but already 5 players across the board are down. Moonlight in control already of this game. Looking for a little bit more value here to try to get some picks. Basil does kind of respect the player dropping left, backing off. And just, again, strong opening for Moonlight, but a couple specials coming from Fruitella could be a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, very interesting as the decap does go down. Now, Nolan, in an interesting fight here, is going to get 2v1'd in the corner. That's going to give pretty big numbers over to Fruitella. Nora now rolling in on Omega, has to back up. The juiced Omega coming back super quick. The bubble is out. Now Omega's caught in a 2v1. Omega gets one, is going to, like you said, respect the player, kind of rotate back around and away. But picks coming everywhere you look, Hammy. Fruitella seeming to get a bit of an advantage there.
Shadow, unfortunately, dropping into that Booyah, the world's smallest violin, playing a sad song as going down. Punchy now on top of mid with this crab is going to try to buy some space, opting just to ignore Shadow because shredding a tent takes like half your crab. It's not worth the effort. These sodas, though, I'm surprised Phoenix could actually reach those sodas. That's like a nice like toss-up for the can. Trying to get a couple picks there, will jump out. Fruitella did manage to take a quick lead here, just distracting players of Moonlight, not really getting any picks, but that lead isn't very substantial, and I'm sure they were looking for...
Yeah, I think with the pencil jumping out, you kind of got to bail and say, hey, we'll protect that lead some other time. You do have one more chance to prevent a lead flip here, or to at least keep the damage pretty minimal. But with the Moonlight rolling in, Omega's going to get picked, which will leave a slight opening to Fruitella if you can get this going before Omega comes back. But no, a trade out. The bucket with the crab getting a pick up front here. The crab is going to try and make some noise happen as the splash rolls in on the left-hand side. Nora getting picked, trying to sideswipe into the zone as Nolan, oh my gosh, I mean, talking about controlling these angles on Scorchgorge, Nolan must be in paradise on this map.
Yeah, Nolan, not only in this map specifically for the strength of it, but just in general, Nolan has just been doing a great job supporting Moonlight and everything we want to do. Set. Dropping those missiles when they're needed, being able to just hold down different lanes of the map. And Moonlight already counting down. Shadow is just here to be annoying, using this tent shield, not even opting to send it out, just trying to buy time. Again, mastery of that weapon. 10 ticks left for Moonlight. Nolan does get picked off by the crab. Shadow and Basil working together to try to keep this zone as long as they can, but realizing it may be a fool's errand, not going to overcommit to it, except for Shadow, who's still in there and getting picks. So never mind to me saying they won't overcommit. But yeah, Moonlight in a great position because they just got back in pretty quick with a lot of picks.
It was such a cool play, Hammy. Oh my gosh, Shadow gets the one pick as the last one up, jumps out, Omega swaps in and gets a double. That was insane. What a highlight that was to give Moonlight back control of the zone. I mean, talk about a value flip, making something out of truly nothing, as Azuka pick up front is going to continue to give numbers to Moonlight. Omega picking a super jump out of the sky is going to get another one. And now towards Oblivion, that zone timer is ticking. Nolan is trying to get set up underneath this ledge, finding out a fight there, but no, the teammate Omega has it all by themselves. Will go down though, Shadow, and oh my gosh, Moonlight with a dominant performance, a never say never performance with that insane flip towards the middle to maintain control. Hammy, they are playing like everybody expects Moonlight to play.
Yeah, this is the Moonlight you love to see. You know, a lot of like, I've heard stuff online of, Moonlight's been to 2 lands recently. They're both lands where they were heavily favored to win. They sweep the entire event. So it's like, yeah, Moonlight's good, but like they're not having any competition. This is Moonlight when you put them against competition. Fruitella are no slouches. There are people who are opting for Fruitella to win this set, and Moonlight is just taking it in strides. Again, me calling out, yeah, they're going to jump out here like this, this play is done. And then ShadowWin just survives a 1v3 and gets picks and then enables Omega to get a double. Like, that's, I didn't even, like, pay attention to it because I didn't expect it to happen. I was like, yeah, clearly they're going to jump out here. And then just started rambling, and I looked down and went, where's Fruitella?
Why are they all dead? And you know what? To your point, Hammy, about it being done against Fruitella, Moonlight is supposed to do that stuff in Splatfests, right? Not against other DivX teams. Like, that is just crazy that they're out here doing these like plays that are just arguably stunting on people and saying, yeah, I'm just going to get a 1v4 pick, jump out, and let my teammate come in and fully flip the advantage state for us. That is just insane that they're able to do this against other teams of this caliber. But the thing is, Fruitella can do it too. And now the pressure is on them to show up in Game 3 and to slap Moonlight back.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier, is that this is winter semis. This is not the end of the tournament. There's a high percentage chance that these teams play against each other again unless one of them gets a major upset or one of them gets majorly upset. So realistically, we will see these teams playing again later today. And so this is what's sending a message. Moonlight is telling Fruittella, hey, we're not even worried about you. You know, this is our easy free ticket to SWS in August. Fruitella, though, they have a chance, like you said, to come back and do a reverse sweep and tell Moonlight, yeah, no, we were messing around the first few sets. That DC, intentional. Losing those games, intentional. We were playing with you. This is how we actually play. And potentially, too, even in the replay later, you know, Fruitella could be on a revenge streak. You know, they could, like, kick it into gear and say, no, we lost the first time. Like, we got to really play. And Moonlight could get, like, too lax with it. They might go, oh, we're going to beat them. It's not going to be hard. And, you know, it happens. So there's so many mind games, so many possibilities. I am, as I said earlier, I'm way too optimistic to actually have, like, a concrete, like, no, this team. But what? Fruittella on Eeltail? What?
Here's the thing,
So
you know,
I-
Hammy, I'm surprised, but I thought that this counterpick was going to come out after a Moonlight loss because of Shadow's tent. I did not expect this to come out from Fruitella, and I think with Shadow's amazing tent, this could be a grave, grave mistake.
I was talking about, like, multiple layers of mind games. This is a step above. Fruitella picking Eeltail against Moonlight
Yeah.
is something I wasn't expecting to ever see. So I'm curious. Again, this is something we've run into multiple times today. A questionable counter pick that has worked out in the favor of the team that picked it, even though we didn't have a good answer for ourselves on the desk. So I'm going to believe the process for Fruitella, but it's going to be a rough one.
Yeah, I like believe in the process, right? Because back during one of the first sets, what we talked about was if you're not counterpicking to neutralize an opponent, you're counterpicking to enhance one of your strengths. And maybe there's something that Fruitella's got in their pocket that could enhance this strength, right? Like, I don't see any tents, but what I do see is I see Punchy, who's got that new Rapid Blaster. I see Punchy, who can swap to that Rattler mini Splatling. So I see ways in which they can be using these beacons or using the Rapid to try and tilt the scales their way. But ShadowWin's tent, just to me, seems like something that you cannot ignore when you're thinking of counter.
And here's the thing, too, is there's ways to get rid of the tent. You know, in game one, we did see the wall from Phoenix get shredded by the tent. But if your wall's down earlier, you can shred the tent with the wall.
Yeah.
So there are ways to get rid of the tent, and there is the Gal again. That could be a tool that can be used to get rid of the tent shield if that's the focus. That is something that I do a lot when I play competitive myself. So there's options here. Fruitella just need to explore them, and I'm curious to see if Eeltail is the map to do it.
Yeah, I like that pick, but I don't like that nothing else changed. Punchy is going to get an immediate pick with the crab, though, so maybe that is the right way to go. Trying to get a chip on Nolan, too, and it looks like Fruitella is at least holding their own, if not at a slight advantage, as Moonlight members continue to go down with Omega up front. Phoenix now trying to roll around, getting a nice jump out, but oh my gosh, I mean, everywhere you look, somebody in purple is getting X'd out on the map. Oh!
Yeah, these are the picks that Fruitella have been looking for. You know, we can talk all this stuff about mind games and map picks and all this stuff, but if you're getting the picks, you're getting the picks. It's a numbers game at the end of the day, and Fruitella have been keeping those numbers, but Moonlight have a couple specials on the ready. Here comes the Zuka from ShadowWin. They have a bubble in the tank, but halfway through the point score, Fruitella have a nice opening push regardless.
And here we got the jump-ins coming into Crowny there. So we are going to try and sustain and prevent a Moonlight knockout, rather. Omega with the bubble has something to say about that, crossing the bridge, and now it's going the other way. We're seeing a bunch of green X's as now Punchy is in danger of going down. That splash will go down. Moonlight threading themselves up through across this bridge. You see Nolan trying to take a good position with that pro in the pit, making sure that nobody drops. And a pick on a member of Fruitella is going to be an almost certain lead flip. Hammy, this one could be done in a few seconds.
Yeah, Moonlight finally got back in control and just playing with Fruitella, shooting those Zukas over the rooftop, hoping it'll get a pick, and Fruitella don't really have a way in. The tent shield by ShadowWin does actually get picked off, but still just buying time. Right now, everything that Moonlight does is just a stall to get closer and closer to this knockout. With 2 players down, 10 ticks left. Moonlight are looking to take this game in a sweep. There's nothing really here for Fruittella to do. You have 2 players in the zone painting each half. And just like that, 100 to 0 after they got in control, Moonlight take that game fairly dominantly and will sweep Fruittella, sending them to losers and sending themselves to winners bracket finals.
Wow, you love to see it. Your number 2 seed fighting and clawing all the way up. Moonlight now has only lost 1 game on the day. So impressive showing from them so far. I believe FTWin is going to be their opponent here. Let's take a look, though, at the bracket to confirm. Yeah, it is going to be Moonlight v FTWin, the matchup that we all thought we were going to see on winners finals here. But, Hammy, are there any situations and losers that you've been surprised by thus far?
In losers? Let me see here. Who is still here and who isn't is the real question. Honestly, there are a couple of teams that I have seen people predicting that are already out. 129 seed 10 already getting knocked in a losers bracket round 4. Let me see who else is here. Cherry Wave also out in round 4, getting knocked in the kind of duck Motif.
Honkai beat Eternal Flowers. Whoa!
That is crazy. Eternal Flowers is a stacked team. Again, it is Zenith Len pickup getting knocked out by Honkai and also getting put down a losers bracket in the first place by who was it? It was BONG, I believe. So unfortunate run for them. Again, this is the kind of tournament we're seeing today. When you see tournaments where there's like these major seed upsets, it's like your SOSs. It's, you know, it's these open level tournaments with a ton of teams or like low level tournaments. This is the Splat World Series qualifier. And we're seeing upsets of that caliber, seeds, like lower seeds beating these higher seeds, because everyone here is stacked. They all belong here. They all have a shot at taking this qualifier. Maybe some more than others, but a lot of possibilities here. A lot of great matches across the board, even off stream.
It kind of does remind me of Super Jump 5, right? Where you had your top 2 teams at the top, and then everything below it was just like a cool new mess of up-and-coming folks here. But we are out of time, unfortunately, Hammy. So where can the good folks at chat find you between now and your next time on the mic? I know we so rarely get to commentate together. I'm like weeping here because I don't want it to end.
Yeah, I want to keep commentating SWS. I want to keep commentating with my good friend SofaKing. But I have been Hammy, also known as Hammy in the Wall. You can find me down here at hitw.ink on Blue Sky, and just go to that URL. You'll find me there. Everywhere else on the internet, Hammy in the Wall. I like yapping, so I'm going to stop yapping and hand it over to Sofa. Please shout yourself out. Anything else to talk about before we get kicked off the mic?
Well, folks, no socials at the moment, but I can't say enough the good work that IPL and Splatoon Tourney are doing to run this event for this qualifier and the next, and then the SWS Finals on August 2nd. That's going to be super exciting. But this qualifier, folks, is off to a rip-roaring start. We will be heading towards a commentary swap as we toss you to Winners Finals, to the illustrious 9 and Fufu to bring the event home here for you in IPL Splatoon. And if you're a fan of the dynamic commentary duo of Falco and Saf, go check out Splatoon Tourney right now and see their commentary for their block. But we've been SofaKing and Hammy, and we'll see you next time.
You came, you made sincere, turn gray skies to blue. You won't ever change your ways, doing what you do. Well, you can keep on talking,
Hello, we are here with the second block after a little commentator switch to bring you the second half of the Splat World Series Qualifier 1. I am joined here by the one and only 9-hole Green. Zeus, say hello.
Hello, Fufu. I'm so excited. I've been loving your energy on the other casts that I've seen you participate in, and also the 2 minutes that we've been speaking together. You've been bouncing off the walls. I will be there very shortly too, because we've got a banger of a winners finals.
Oh yes, I am overflowing with excitement, especially because we have FTWin versus Moonlight. We saw Moonlight last set with Hammy and Sofa, and they did an amazing job. They completely swept there. I want to see that energy be brought into this next match, especially considering the opponents they're about to be facing here now.
Yeah, FTWin has not dropped a single game over the course of this tournament. They like doing that. They like going through tournaments without dropping games, but this has been a classic North American matchup. We've seen this happen at various lands where Moonlight's stolen a few sets from them, and even just recently, the question has always been, what Moonlight are we going to get? And as soon as we joined our little pre-call together, I was like, we might have got the good Moonlight today. It might be the good Moonlight. That last set, they were executing both from a mechanical standpoint, from a plan standpoint. If they do that, they can keep pace with anybody, but FTWin looking sharp today. We'll see if they've got what it takes.
Yeah, both of these teams definitely on their A game. And really, I feel like this is an up in the air. Again, we've seen FTWin sweep through tournaments, essentially. So they are definitely a worthy opponent here for Moonlight. And I feel it's definitely going to be a tough one for Moonlight, despite them being on their A game, especially considering we are on one of the most notorious maps for testing every aspect of a team's play. And that is going to be Macomart. I love Macomart.
Yeah, this is an interesting choice because this iteration of FTWin, they go. Ever since they added Sam on the Stamper, that, I won't say gave them a different dynamic because they always had Kyo who could play the Stamper as well, but that totally opens up how they want to attack some of these shorter range maps. So you get that sort of thing, Biscuit who can play almost any weapon in the game. Moonlight in the past has, I won't say crumbled, that's a little too aggressive, but when a team gets up and at them and fights them over and over with waves of pressure, that's where this comp that they like to run can start to fall apart a little bit. Now with the way Omega's been playing, with how long Shadow has been surviving with the tent, they might be able to throw back some of those early waves of pressure, but it's going to be a difficult challenge. And I'll be honest here, this is a rough opening draw for Moonlight here. I'm sure they would have liked a little bit wider of a map.
Oh no, absolutely, especially considering the tent that they have on their team. I do think a lot of the rest of their weapons are definitely able to capitalize a lot off of Macomart. I am expecting, I'm not gonna lie, I forget a lot of FT wins. I know they do have a Slosher if Cho was gonna continue playing Slosher, which is already great for taking care of a lot of the ledges that Macomart has. I think the biggest problem with both of these teams is going to be retakes, so it really is going to be a fight to see who gets locked out first.
All right, here we go, everybody. Winners finals, it's zones only. If you don't know that by now, there's no helping you at this stage. We're going to run splat zones until the heat death of the universe. But take a look right here. Interesting. Bursty is going to be the one on the new dualies here. Very nice. I love it. The big bubbler, you can use that in tandem with some of these other weapons. And on the other side, it's the S-Blast 91 coming out from Nolan here. Listen, this weapon's been winning just about everything recently, and I know Nolan's been playing it some. It's a nice counterpick to have for a map like this.
Oh no, absolutely. Again, those legends, it all comes back down to the legends that this map contains. But again, Moonlight able to have a bit of a grasp on the zone, able to take a nice pick off of Kyo, but FTWin is going to be fighting for control, able to actually get a little bit of a pick off. But Moonlight still pretty much having members on the zone here, so they might just be able to hold this off. But no, FTWin is going to continue to put pressure onto the members of Moonlight. But no, it's actually going to flip right back as Moonlight is able to take the zone once more.
Incredible positioning by Omega there. You saw what the plan was. Push the opponent's stack, force everybody back, and take that space. But Omega on this decab moved in the exact right spot. I was going to say burst. He's awfully pink right now. That is a weak Inkling there. Will get taken out. Now Omega's run back here with Shadow as the running mate here. They're pushed all the way back. They haven't taken anybody out yet. Did they milk enough time off the clock for everybody else to respawn? This has been an incredible early showing from Moonlight.
Oh no, absolutely here. And FTWin is just trying to do what they can to get themselves back on the field. Getting taken out here, the Splatana, that's going to be 2 down on Moonlight. FTWin is successfully able to start that retaliation. Again, that zone in their favor, but 2 go down to 3 are going to be going down to Shadow's Trizuka there. Amazing job there.
3 shots, 3 kills, except I think it only took 2. What a way for Shadow to do it. And look at the position there of that tacticaler there. They were able to drop down and get to it. I was about to say a lot of drinks left unclaimed. It appears they'll at least make good on that. Moonlight's had great responses, and their positioning has been so good. They've identified where the counter pushes are coming from FTWin, and they've stopped them before any waves of pressure can get set up.
Absolutely, they are reading them like a book here. And again, I love the tent use from Shadow. Shadow has been making amazing use of that tent shield to just provide these little areas of pressure and just a lot of extra space for Moonlight to capitalize off. But they're going to be going down. They're going to be losing their S-Blast there, which is unfortunately their edge guard here. But the rest of the members of Moonlight are still... Shadow, you can't keep doing this, dog. You can't keep getting away with doubles with Zukas.
Apparently so. Shadow's going to keep doing that until it goes the other way. A desperation flip at this point with the triple Ink Strike to at least give them a little breathing room. But, you know, I'm not sure that Basil's had to do much of anything this game outside of stay in that exact spot, turf around, because all the rest of Moonlight are winning these engagements here. They're set up so well on these positions. You see, now they're juiced up. They're going to move in. Shadow going to be leading the charge. Nolan watches one of these drops, and then eventually Shadow decides to attack, and it's just a ticking time bomb at a certain point. They've traded out once again. A couple more of these trades, Fufu. This game's going to end.
Yeah, it's really there. The Booyah Bomb coming out from FTWin, just trying to get that any last-ditch plays there to try and get the zone from the hands of Moonlight, and they're able to successfully do so. Shadow, once again, having that Zuka in their hand, but I don't think that's going to be enough to really take anyone out here. Moonlight able to cap the zone once more, but not without taking around 40 points of penalty.
Yeah, the Twinkle Splat Dualies that time was able to drop down and actually get the big bubbler down. That was really the only thing that saved them from what could have been 2 or even 3 going down with a couple of those shots. They stacked everybody up on the right side and had just enough time to make it happen. Now we finally get to see FTWin on the attack. Look at this now. Sam's moved in. That's 1. That's 2. These points are starting to take away in a hurry. And after everything that Moonlight has done so well, it would hurt so bad to lose a game like this. Omega working over here. They're going to use that Booyah Bomb to sneak this weapon in. That decap trying to run. Kyo sneaks back behind to make sure nobody else can join, but Nolan wins the fight. Do they have enough time? They certainly have enough players to get through. They lose the zone, and it's a wipeout. FTWin knocks quite a few points off, but they've still got quite a few more to go.
Oh no, yeah, they still have to get through these penalty points, especially considering there's only a minute left on the match here. The pressure is definitely on for the members of FTWin to try and take the zone back from Moonlight. We are seeing those strikes coming out from Kyo to give their team a calling card here, able to neutralize the zone, and the members of FTWin are just slowly getting through the members of Moonlight until just about the pencil is left on the field. No, we actually have another member here. We have Nolan here on the right side coming in, trying to assist the best they can.
Yep, again, they're just able to get to the zone. You see there's only 6 points of penalty here. They've cycled a couple specials, but they didn't get a cap all the way through there. Sam's going to try to fire here, but who's going to come in and paint the zone? Someone's got to come up. There's too many members of Moonlight here. You're not going to turf over all 4, and Moonlight takes game number 1 in this best of 5.
9, we may have the good Moonlight today. We have the good Moonlight today because they just took one off of FTWin. We got the good Moonlight.
Oh my
Oh my goodness, they were there at every corner of FTWin. They were keeping them in check, and even when things started to look grim, Moonlight did not lose their coal, and it was able to retake just fine. I'm off the walls. 9, you're gonna have to hold me back. Dog, you're gonna have to hold me back, dude.
There are many miles between the two of us here, but we'll try a nice virtual hold back here to make sure that we can at least get through a couple more games of this set. We could potentially see this matchup again in grand finals. There's a lot of great Splatoon to be played. But Fufu, I keep going back. When you are against a team of FTWin's caliber, and you know that every single 1v1 you take against them is going to be a fight for your life, you have to find these little moments where even FTWin has to bundle up together in order to push back in through some specials, through some set play. Every single time in the early part of that game, they had a special that was waiting at the right time, whether it was the Booyah Bomb, whether it was the Big Bubbler, or whether it was that highlight-laden Trizooka. Again, I made the joke earlier that these two teams have been playing against each other an awful lot. That is an understatement. Nearly every North American tournament, you're going to see some permutation of these two teams fighting it out. And I wonder if, again, good Moonlight, they've always had the right idea and the right game plan. Can they keep it up for 2 more victories? I mean, beating FTWin in a tournament of this caliber, I'm not sure they've ever done it.
I want to see it happen. You know, selfishly, I want to see it happen because it really would be such a big thing for Moonlight here. And I'm going to actually turn over and look at FTWin's pick of Museum del Alfonsino because that is a very interesting pick. A very open map, and considering both teams do have pencils, and well, there are blasters on each team. There's sloshers on the side of FTWin. This is a good map for both teams. I would.
All right. Well, you know, Fufu made the joke earlier that, you know, bouncing off the walls had to hold back. This was not quite what I had intended at the time. I hear some chuckling. So, Fufu, I think you're back. You know, you were not kidding about bouncing off the walls. You bounced right into your modem and knocked OBS user right out of this world. So, as you were, I'm sure you laid out some good stuff. We are in the match here. I'm going to pass it back over to you here. Talk a little more about this map, because you're right that it is a really interesting one given the caliber of both the pencils.
Oh no, absolutely. The very open map, and of course both teams have their options of checking ledges on this map, which is pretty much half the map in general if it's not already open. Both of these teams going to be opening up relatively strong. FTWin is actually going to be losing their dualies already off the bat, but already trading this off with another kill from Kyo. I love the use of Cooler. I love the rotations back with Cooler, and I think it just gives these teams more opportunities if they find themselves in a bad spot. And Moonlight, speaking of bad spots, are kind of shoved in a corner at the moment here. Sam able to get a really nice pick off. It's just the members of FTWin are just rotating it around, running games around Moonlight. Once again, Shadow taking a pick with the Trizooka, looking for another, but Moonlight able to have that zone in their favor at the moment.
Yeah, such a repeat of that last game. Right as things are really about to spiral out of control, Shadow has the right tool for the right job. A jump over to this side means that, everybody should know where that jump ended up landing here. The question is, can they do something about it? Shadow again going to jump away, this time landing in a bubble that Omega has provided, running away now. They've done, again, such a good job. So many teams, when FTWin finds this type of rotating attacking style that they love to do, they lose track of them. But Moonlight, at this point, hasn't truly lost track of it. On the other hand, though, when Bursty is right up here and Sam is right there, it means that in all the rotation, at a certain point, FTWin said, okay, you know, they're not going to block their spinner. Let's just go spawn camp. Why not?
Let's get a little bit silly. You know, they're putting the Whimsy in Splatoon right now, and definitely here as they're going to be looking to keep the spawn camp going. I see that Booyah Bomb active from Sam, so that's going to be a really nice tool to keep them in their base. Seeing that pop right here, especially next to this tent, which practically renders that tent useless for a little bit, but it's just not going to be enough to stop the momentum that Moonlight has going on. As they get a Booyah Bomb of their own, Nolan just fighting with Sam. Sam able to get that pick off. Sam is being a menace. Why are we still in the base? They're behind Moonlight. How whimsical are we feeling today?
Yeah, again, the Moonlight immediately like, well, okay, if they're going to spawn camp, I just will guess all rush zone. Why not here? We can identify where people are at. We can make moves as need be. And they took 2 people out very, very quickly there. You saw Basil sitting with 2 assists at that point. Means everyone's juiced. Everybody's probably going to be running in at a certain time. This is actually a really nicely timed grab from Bursty. If anybody can get over to provide some assistance, there's 3 members over here. They know ideally where these members are coming from, but it's taken them too long and the lead is flipped.
No, yeah, definitely here. That's really... Never mind, the zone is going to be capped there from FTWin, putting a stop to Moonlight's points right here, but it doesn't stop the action from happening on the field. Trades going out on the field with a decap and Slosher out, and Shadow still being a little bit sneaky here on this right edge. Moonlight still has yet to cap the zone in their favor as the members of FTWin are there to meet them in the center. That cap is like halfway there. It's not going to be enough, but the Booyah Bomb coming out from FTWin, just... We're gonna get a little silly.
Silly. Keep an eye at the top. That's 2 members now from Moonlight who have gone down. Basil gonna fight it out here at a certain point. No, not even jumping out. I thought I was about to say at a certain point you've got to jump out, but if you can take one with you, that's great. I think a bomb there from Kyo maybe takes Nolan down. That could be a big deal too. Kyo is juiced up here, and they've already snuck a member up there to attack. If one or two more of those members get up there, they're going to start taking time away. Nolan gets a trade out. The time ticks away, and we are going to see another lead flip. FTWin fighting back.
Yeah, the tension is certainly rising here as FTWin continues to bring down these points bit by bit here. It's, you know, we're at 26 points right now. It may be neutralized, but this is definitely a little bit of a danger zone for Moonlight. They have to be able to get themselves in just about now, or else their chances are going to start diminishing. 20 points left on that counter, and Kyo is still here on this left side or right side, depending where you're looking from, able to get picked off by Basil. The members of Moonlight got to go now. Bubble being popped here, and so was the crab. It's going to get tight. Are they going to be able to? No! FTWin able to hold that zone enough to take the second game.
Big swings from both teams, and that tends to be how this map ends up going. When you take zone, you get to move up onto the opponent's spinner, and as you put a little bit of whimsy there, a whimsical way of playing Splatoon, it's just the pull is too strong. It's, I have all these avenues to attack my opponent, and all I have to do is take mid. Sure, we'll do it. And both teams you saw at different points in that game said, well, okay, we'll just rush zone, flip it, and then you can rotate back, and that's how we'll get you out of our spawn. But I love the way that FTWin worked underneath these drops, slowly but surely rotating different players around. Of course, we got to see Kyo here at the end, who maybe didn't get a big highlight play, but make no mistake, all that time taken away, all those resources simply to clear Kyo out, means Bursty gets to sit on that crab until the very end, fires it where all three members are. You're not going to be able to get through that cleanly. If you don't get through it cleanly, you can't turf, and we got a win for FTWin.
No, absolutely. And unfortunately, that bubble wasn't enough either. What a clean win. Well, not, I wouldn't even say clean, actually. That was a very, you know, they were butting heads pretty much. That was a very close match that I feel really was in any one of those teams' hands. And the curiosity is definitely going to see where that counter pick is going to lie next.
Yes.
You know, we've been seeing, I was not expecting Museum del Fanzino. So I'm honestly, anything can happen with these next counter picks, but it just doesn't change the fact that both of these teams are really, they're matched at the moment. They read each other like no tomorrow. Those specials on point, they take every micro opportunity that is available to them, wasting absolutely no time to capitalize on any opportunity that falls before them.
Well, we just heard a fun noise in our ears, which probably means this is a bizarre counter pick. Lemuria? I won't repeat exactly what was... I won't repeat exactly what was said in my ears when this was picked, but it might have been an understatement, honestly. There's not really a word that can be used to describe how baffling of a choice this is. What? Oh, wait, no, now we're being told... It is worse! It is worse! Bluefin Depot?
Mike, listen, pick so jaw-dropping that my entire little mic setup is screwed up. That's how bad it is. What are we doing?
Let's try to break this one down a little bit. So, to this point, I've been following Moonlight in their run in this tournament. They've mostly kept the same core three. Of course, the decav, the Tensabrella, and of course the pencil. Nolan has been the one who's been switching around, and Nolan has a real nasty Splattershot Pro Frozen, aka the Fro Pro. Those last two maps, it makes sense that Nolan's been playing the S-Blast 91. But if you have a pick like this, maybe this is because you want a wider map where you can get some of these Tenta missiles going, or you feel like you've got the charger in the room, which Basil will be the charger in most rooms. So, again, a sensible choice here. As sensible, I guess, as anything can be with Bluefin Depot, but I have nightmares. I mean, of course, it's so low-key when I do it, but I have nightmares when the opposing team gets into my spawn, and I'm like, now what do I do? And that's a real threat with FTWin.
No, yeah, I think this is another one of those moments where it's going to be a race to see who can get that lockout first, because whoever gets locked out first is going to be in trouble. I am incredibly curious to see how this plays out, because I don't think I've ever cast a match that had blue fin zones on it. So I'm both excited and very, very nervous here, Nine.
Well, that's the beauty of an all-zones tournament that has every single zones map open. And already this is not looking great for Moonlight. Two people immediately went down. Nolan and Omega, the two front runners, going down that early means that Yeah, you're gonna need to try to fight your way back in, and careful there. Yeah, I was about to say, Kill, that's the angle that Kill wanted you to go at, to fire over the top. Now Bursty's behind you with a crab, has full reign to fight everybody on this side. The crab does get taken away, but you're gonna have to deal with Bursty on this side at some point. Apparently not, actually, I should say. Shadow takes one out all the way across and almost got another one with that Trizuka. Of course, the notable part of this map is, yes, that zone is moving, and it does move very, very quickly depending on who has control.
Absolutely, and we're going to be seeing that control in Moonlight's favor here, ready to give FTWin a little bit of their own medicine that we saw earlier here. Nolan getting a little bit sneaky up top, playing very dangerous, especially considering the pencil looking at them. That's going to be 3 down on Moonlight. FTWin quickly opting to get that retake, take that zone right back in the favor, not allowing Moonlight an opportunity to put them in a bad position at all.
No, Omega going after Bursty on the top of the screen. That's really how this map tends to go. It's who can deal with the shenanigans on the sides. It appears, again, that's the second time that a couple members of FTWin have fired at someone who was coming around the flank, while the other members of Moonlight took that 3-2 advantage and instead just opted to take the zone. I mean, it's sensible. Bursty's been living on this side the entire time, kind of hoping that people will fight, but so far Moonlight's not really taking the bait.
Not really at all, and I think that's really good on them here. Just, you know, kind of make sure they're not accidentally dying to, you know, someone pop in the corner. Also, Bursty's crabs have been absolutely ridiculous. They have been spot on every single time, and I think that crab alone is the reason that FTWin was able to actually get that cap on the zone right here. Well, of course, the rest of the members capitalized very nicely on that, but once again, Moonlight is on the back foot. It's getting a little bit rough, one would argue.
Yeah, Nolan kind of diving in there. You sense that was a desperation play. Nolan really felt like, I can't get back to spawn here. I've already used my crab. I may as well just go try to take one down with me as I go. Omega's been doing a nice job working around the different parts of this map, but again, time is ticking away, and they're not getting a whole lot for it. Somewhere along the slide, Bursty went down, but now Omega is down as well, and all these points continue to tick away. You've seen how difficult it can be when this zone flips so quickly.
No, absolutely. And what we don't want here is any desperation plays. And Moonlight, I already see them fighting for the zone while Nolan is, you know, slowly beefing with the pencil on the left here. Getting a little bit silly, but it doesn't stop FTWin from still holding that zone in their favor. We have 3 members on each side here on the zone. A beautiful bubble there from Omega, but with the Booyah Bomb, yep, time was taken, and they were able to get that zone in the favor. Not without 2 of their members going down in the process, though. That zone is going to be moving a little more towards FTWin's side, and Moonlight now has an opportunity to hopefully get some more points on the board here.
Yeah, they're only going to get so many more opportunities. And are they going to be able to stop the general idea? You see Bursty once again is on the same side that he's been taking every single time. If they opt to go this route and once again put Bursty on that side with a crab, will they have enough concerted paint to keep this from flipping? That's really what I want to see at this point. Is anyone going to be able to stop those triple ink strikes? Yes, they had a couple people there to do it. Again, all these points that are not being ticked off because they just haven't had enough people on the zone. Kyo desperately trying to play objective here with the slosher, and finally it will flip. It's always bizarre on this map, Fufu, when everyone else seems to be away from the zone except the one person we're spectating.
No, yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, both teams here are going to be they have been splitting their members all across the map here, just trying to force any crossfire options that there are. And I think that is the one big issue there. It's objective. It's like someone's got to be on objective. If not, someone can be sneaky and take it, just as we saw from Kyo earlier. But the fight for the zone is going to start once more here. Again, a minute left. The stakes are getting higher and higher, especially here for Moonlight. That really is on the back foot right now. And all the members over there, that's a Booyah Bomb on its way. Able to pick one off. Oh, this is going to be devastating. This is just, yep, there it is. There's the wipeout.
Couldn't have called it any better. As soon as I saw all 4 there, I was like, oh, this is going to end poorly. But 2 members of FTWin immediately throw themselves to the wolves. I'm sure they were coolered up here, so they should be back in time for defense. And sure enough, Kyo gets one, immediately respawning. But that was a disgusting way for that scramble to end here. Just a few more penalty points, just a few more seconds on the actual game clock as well. Moonlight's going to need some big plays to give themselves an opportunity, and so far that's not the case.
Yeah, they really got a cap zone here. They really don't have the option but to do so, but with 2 of their members going down, I feel Moonlight stress here on the other side of the field. As the strays are coming out, just Shadow doing everything they can, but with 2 seconds left, it's not enough. Oh, that's so rough. Getting the kills and just not enough time on the timer for everyone else to capitalize off of it. FTWin able to take game 3, putting the score at 2-1. What a game. What a chaotic game even.
Chaotic game, and looking now with the benefit of foresight, or hindsight rather, hindsight being 2020, I think FTWin had a better idea of how they wanted to attack that map than maybe Moonlight thought, right? Every time Bursty would go one way onto the other side of the map, use a crab to either stall people out or identify where a couple of these folks were, they had the special that could immediately flip zone in the triple ink strike, and Sam, who's just a fantastic Stamper player in general, also now has Booyah Bomb that can really break any sort of turret or any sort of nest that they've built up as they're trying to jump back out. So we were scratching our heads just because we never see Bluefin, but I'm not entirely sure what the play was with switching Nolan back over to that 96 cal. I guess the idea is if that Kraken gets up and at you when you're trying to jump back out, that's nice, but FTWin never really bunched up enough for that to truly have an effect.
They were scattered around the map, truly. It's just like someone was behind, someone was to the left, to the right, and we have a normal map. We actually have a normal map here, but it's normal. We're safe for now. But no, yeah, it was just, it was a lot of ring around the rosy with both the teams, and FTWin just had the better ink painting specials and just honestly were there to disrupt the Moonlight at every given opportunity. But now that we return to somewhat normalcy here, we are going to be playing Barnacle and Dime for Moonlight's pick, and I think this is going to be a lot more of a straightforward map than whatever Bluefin had going on.
Yeah, this is, when I think of Barnacle and Dime, I often think of Moonlight. In the past, they've been able to really make hay on this map with Nolan on the Kraken, because again, you've only got a couple ways that you can drop down, and it's very obvious when you're trying to drop down after you've been locked out on this map. Of course, a Kraken loves that scenario, but I would say that Nolan's other two weapons are also pretty good here as well. S-Blast 91 good just about everywhere, and of course the Pro with missiles will always be strong no matter where you are, so a much more sensible pick here. The other flip side of that is, of course, FTWin is plenty practiced here as well, but Moonlight, very, very smart in that last pick. Maybe got a little too smart for themselves. I like this choice. Come back here. You played well on the previous neutral map. Let's do it again.
Oh, that Kraken is actually going to be coming back to the field. So just like you were talking about earlier, nice read right there. It's a nice read. Hey, I'm just saying. But yeah, both of these teams going to be opening up. There doesn't seem to be really any changes to either of their comps here.
No, I would expect FTWin to continue to run this regardless of how this goes or if they got knocked down to losers. It's just you put the best main version of each weapon that you main in your hands, and Bursty can rotate around to a lot of different choices, so makes perfect sense. And a very FTWin opening here where they give up the early zone to try to get a 2 or 3 down situation here. They've been doing this for years. So far, though, hasn't worked out. They got the first 2 down, but one of the few that was remaining was Nolan, who's now going for another. And instead, it's going to be Omega now on the respawn and Shadow pushing forward here. Already, I'm sorry, we're almost at 50 points already? They've been up so far, Fufu.
Yeah, the points really do tick down quick here on zones. 2 per second, I think it is around, but already seen that crowd from Bursty just trying to move all the members of Moonlight, and Sam over here to capitalize. It's still, oh, okay, I was about to say, still able to get that too, and just Nolan here forced the fight. I think 2 members going down to Sam with a beautiful triple here, putting FTWin in a really nice advantage state.
Boy, that Stamper sure is something. That that is one heck of a main weapon. When you get in on this map, this was the scenario we were talking about earlier. There's not a ton of ways to get down here in a sneaky fashion. At a certain point, you just have to make it work. Omega being the seen threat, the unseen threat from a distance. Again, it's Shadow with that Trizuka, who was the hero in Game 1, pulling out some heroics here in Game 2, because that lead was about to go.
No, yeah, absolutely there. And Moonlight, once again, still finding themselves in a pretty nice advantage state at the moment right here. Bursty's Crab coming in to try and disrupt that, but that Kraken from Nolan also disrupting FTWin from really doing anything with that Crab as well right here. Moonlight still able to have a pretty solid control of the map and continue to take 2 members down off of FTWin. Moonlight is in a really good position right now. If they can keep this momentum up or maybe get another 2 down here on the side of FTWin, they're going to be looking to a possible knockout.
I think they already cycled another Tacticooler out as well here, so they can try to take any of these fights they want without worrying here. Nolan melts through that Crab and gets another one down. Is anyone even near zone? It's just Kill. A Slosher's not going to paint over 2 players. 2-1, and that's why we wanted to see Moonlight come back to a neutral map. No funny business needed here, just some good old-fashioned Splatoon, and we get a Game 5.
We gotta game 5 alert 9, game 5 alert. These teams are gonna be neck and neck. That was a really, really lovely match there for Moonlight. They played it safe where they needed to. No more playing around. No more Mr. Nice Moonlight. And they locked in right here. Kept FTWin at bay. You can tell I'm off the walls today. And it just really led to a nice wipeout by the knockout by the end of the map. I'm off the walls.
I mean, listen, there was more than one wipeout there too. Your statement was not incorrect. I am very much in the same boat as you right now. I just love the way, again, the one time that Moonlight had to break back in, all it took was Omega getting juiced up, running in, and then, again, we're not in the BCs. We don't know what those players are calling. But if Omega says, hey, I'm fighting too, then Shadow's just like, cool, I'm a fire at you, buddy. And then gets 2 people in that scenario. I mean, that is excellent, excellent work from them. Once those 2 went down, they took control. And listen, we said it so many times, when Moonlight's on their game, they can make it happen against anyone, and they have made it happen against FTWin. But now FTWin is taking it to maybe, I would argue, one of, if not the most cursed Splat Zones maps in the entire game. Urchin Underpass, if any of you have watched Area Cup, on this map, everybody brings 2 things to the party. They bring a red Dapples, and they bring Reef Slider. Both of those so strong here. And if FTWin has had some shenanigans that they can hold back for this game 5, here it is. This is the only reason you go to a map like this.
I have no words, honestly. I'm an Urchin Underpass hater. I hate Urchin Underpass.
Yeah!
Yeah, thank you! I'm like, get it out of the map pool, get out of here. But in their defense, it's also a very anti-charger map. It is a very, they're shooting themselves in the foot too, because it's not the best for Crab either. Any like special that requires line of sight or weapons, they don't perform the best on this map. So I'm curious to see how this is going to go down. I still think this is in anyone's court, really, and it's going to be tense because it is a game 5. Both of these teams do not want to go down. I'm so excited.
We have a 96 gal on the field, and it's not Nolan that's playing it. The Claw's 96 gal is coming out from Basil. Okay, we are throwing all caution to the wind at this point. Yes, the red Dapples are back. We figured they probably would come out here. But baffling, and Omega's already dead.
Sam, the ball's already being a menace here. Everyone's being a menace. I feel like FTWin has already played this map one too many times to be opening like this already, the confidence. But we are seeing the Crab. Actually, I think Burst is going to be trying to toss it at a higher ground there to see if they can force that line of sight. But Shadow over here with the ink back, Omega by their side here. I think that's going to be their capper zone, able to do so successfully there. But oh wait, that's a pretty nice situation they're putting. They're putting FTWin all in one spot. But those strikes from Q are going to be able to disrupt that momentum for Moonlight. Cap zone, what's more, forcing Moonlight on that back foot. And honestly, they're bunching up a little bit here. It's kind of nerve-wracking.
It is kind of nerve-wracking here. Omega would love to close out one more player, instead gets half of everyone. And it's always wild when you get bunched up, but you're getting bunched up on the opponent's side of the map here. That usually means that your position has been compromised. And now look at this, Sam working up at the top. Kyo sitting underneath to do some additional damage as well. Bursty in a great position to dive if they so choose. And now they're going to. That's 2 down and a 3rd one on the way here. No, actually, Shadow is able to win that fight. Now goes down. Is this jump going to get punished? No, the answer is not. But all the while, a lot of time got ticked off that clock. Wait, hold on. There was one waiting. There was still one waiting that entire time. It's chaos. It's Pandemonium.
I'm on the edge of my seat as we speak. 9. The core is coming out for the side of Moonlight, but so is that crap from Bursty. Sam here beefing with Basil here, but Moonlight is able to get the zone under the nose of FTWin here. Sam is fighting 2 people here. Sam, how are you going to live this? You're getting out of there is what you're doing, and out they go, especially because they have that Booyah Bomb ready on their side. Moonlight, from a really tough position, is able to get themselves back into center, trying to waste no time to put FTWin on the back foot, but then Rav coming up with a beautiful double. Going up! Is that going to be 4? Is that going to be 4? No! Just barely missing that 4 with the rest of Moonlight trying to get that zone.
Oh, well, yeah, Moonlight's going to try to get the zone and immediately not. Basil saying, I want no part of this, let me get back. You know, it's not fair that you have all these comps and then at a certain point you're just like, all right, Biscuit, play something that's not Pencil. And they're like, oh, cool. Yeah, that's right. I'm Biscuit. I can do whatever I want with any weapon here. Almost getting the quad with the dapples on stream for all of your viewing pleasure or displeasure, depending on how you view it. But here we go. Omega already down, which means that Sam is going to be the one who gets to run forward there. Sam going to go ahead and collect 2.5. I'm sorry, who's left? It's just Nolan. The S-Blast is not going to be able to paint there. Yeah, you're going to try to do it, but you can't swim away either. This could be the end for Moonlight. 10 ticks left on the clock. They've stacked up on one side, trying to run forward. Shadow putting something on the zone. Can they flip the way they do? We still have a game, Fufu.
We don't have a game. It's 1 point. It's a 1 point dream here for Moonlight. Moonlight needs to find a second to breathe. They need to take a second and gather themselves, because this is not a point where you want to get desperate, especially considering once those penalty points are gone, that is going to be the game right here. They got to get themselves in there, but with their 96 and Decaf already down, FTWin is still looking at a really good advantage here. Shadow doing some work here, trying to take Hyoa, unable to do so. It's going to be 1 for 1. No, 2 for 1 here with 2 down on Moonlight. There's going to be a fight. Omega getting themselves into the zone, trying to fight for it, but Kyo is still keeping them at bay, and that zone is still capped. Shadow, how?
A tip of the cap to you. A tip of the cap to you, Moonlight. But FTWin clearly had the plan on that map. Gosh, we talked so much about the red dapples and what those beacons are able to offer, and your backliner switching to that and being able to fight and contribute a lot more, but wave after wave after wave of pressure, it is so difficult when a team starts attacking you on that map to hold them back. And there were 3 or 4 times where Omega, maybe in one of those earlier games, is able to get the full hitbox on that decap, and it wasn't quite enough on some of these fights. The kills and deaths would be baffling to see on that game. It felt like all of the time everybody was simply fighting somebody. And what a showing from Moonlight. I can confidently say we got the good Moonlight here today. But when FTWin has that cesspool of a map mode combination that they can counterpick to, and they can switch Biscuit over to the best weapon on that particular map mode, that's what it looks like here. Oh yeah, here we go. 18, 15, 8, 12. Lots of deaths for everybody.
Ooh.
Lots of deaths.
Yeah, that is a very...
Yeah, compare that to some of the other games. Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. It's just the proximity. Everyone's in just such close proximity. It makes sense, honestly. That was such a, like, everyone is everywhere game. I felt like we were watching Bluefin, but, like, ×2 all over again. It just... Yeah, I think the biggest thing was they targeted the backline, the strength on the backline that Moonlight had as well, and took it to Urchin where that is no longer valid. And what a beautiful set. What a beautiful set.
I was on a podcast last night, the BEEP podcast, and we were talking about FTWin versus Moonlight. And of course, FTWin you put down as the presumptive favorite for it all. But Moonlight's one of the few teams that could beat them. And then the conversation became, well, okay, which Moonlight are we going to get? Are we going to get the Moonlight that's beaten FTWin? Are we going to get the Moonlight that loses 3-0 to Hypernova? And you just never know. And I think it says a lot that FTWin had to go to a map, or maybe not had to go to, but they chose to go to a map where, Fufu, you put it perfectly, Basil can't be Basil, right? And, Basil's 96 might be great, but it's not Basil's pencil, okay? I think I can firmly put that one down in the books. And again, if you've got the player who can switch from pencil over to those red dapples, that's what it's going to look like. FTWin gets it done. Surprise, surprise, our 1 seed ends up punching their ticket into the Splat World Series, but there's still plenty of action today.
Because if I am not wrong, we are going to be following down into the losers bracket, if I am not mistaken here. I'm pretty sure. Yep, okay, we are. The voices in our head have confirmed as we take a peek into the bracket. Ooh, oh wait. My eyes are on healthy diet at the moment. And same with Fruitella, because both of these two are going pretty strong. There's a lot of teams going strong here in the losers bracket.
Yeah, this has been an absolute bloodbath down here in losers, as it often is. But listen, when you've got a zones-only double elim bracket, you're going to see fireworks all up and down. Healthy diet, as you noted, a 7 seed here. People thought it could be their time. It could be a great run for them to beat Cam, for them to beat Pathway. That's a great showing for them. New Meta put on a clinic earlier in unconventional weapon picks, which again, very, very famous for doing that. That's why their names are new meta, against BONG early on. Meanwhile, BONG, who has also made the run back at this point, will be up against Fruitella. BONG was a late entry into this, and as I was looking, I was like, okay, what's this 13 seed doing running all this way through? And then I saw all of them, I'm like, oh, these are all a bunch of 3K solo queue grinders. Okay, sure. Mechanics will get you pretty far in this game. But those sets already underway. New meta and healthy diet tied 1-1. Fruitella currently up 1-0 over BONG.
There's going to be some really good sets popping up. If we're already seeing those 1-1s here, it's pretty late into the bracket, late, one could say, but that only gets me more hype before the sets that we are about to see. If I'm not mistaken, we should be going on a little bit of a break until we have those next games ready. I think.
Freeze your heart, it's no longer the same. 'Cause it's full of blood, and it frees your heart, it's no longer the same. We need to get out of here. Freeze your heart, it's no longer the same. 'Cause it's full of blood, and it frees your heart, it's no longer the same. We need to get up
Was it all in vain? My world revolved around you, now it's trapped inside the pain. Maybe I should stay in the dark after you had it to a place so far away. No.
We are back with the Splat World Series qualifier number 1. We are at losers semifinals at this point, which means this is still a best of 3. Don't blink or you might miss it. Before we get into the action, Fufu, we have a shout out here that I know you already have prepped this read for, so tell the good people what's coming up.
Yes. So today we do have, if you've enjoyed the action here at the, we've had so much good action today, but the action could continue maybe by your hands because Squid Junction is happening in around 3 hours at 4 PDT, and I would recommend you guys go sign up, have some fun. It is a very fun tournament with our friends there at Dapple. I would say sign up.
Yeah, the only thing better than playing a Splatoon tournament is playing 2 Splatoon tournaments in one day. Yeah, your eyes will be bleeding by the end of it, but at least it's for a good cause. All right, with all the advert reads out of the way, we got Fruitella, who is, again, the presumptive number 3 seed coming into today. They have made good on that. They've only lost to one team, and it was Moonlight. They've made the run-up at this point, and they are against New Meta, which was a late-ish entry, our number 5 seed. New Meta is a squad that was really making waves in the early parts of Splatoon 3. To see some of these names come back and fight their way through has been a true pleasure today.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm excited to be seeing what they bring to the field, especially because I heard a little birdie say that they are picking a lot of off-meta picks as well. So bringing the name New Meta in, and of course Fruitella, I've seen around. Those guys are also incredibly strong. So I am pretty excited for this set to see what maybe something closer to the meta and something that's a little bit off of the meta is going to look like in the clash.
And for anybody who maybe didn't see the earlier set, New Meta was bringing in Inkbrush, they were bringing in the Rattler Mini Splatling, they were bringing in a couple different types of dualies, both the Tetras and the End Parries, and then Jay, of course, the Rock, who is going to be playing that pencil. But what it felt like when I was watching those earlier sets that New Meta was playing Fufu is just a whole lot of, they're one, oh, they got away. They're one, they got away again. And eventually, on Splat Zones in particular, that can really start to wear on your patience.
Oh no, absolutely. Especially you're like, I need that guy blown up, blow them up, and then they get away. No, yeah, it's like everyone won. It definitely forces the members of the opposing team to take a step back, but it doesn't send them all the way back to the respawn point. And that's what you're going to want, because we're going to be going to Hagglefish Market. This is like the Splat Zones map, maybe behind Macklemore. I think it's like 50-50 on what people pick on being the Splat Zones map, but I like Hagglefish. It definitely was there since the beginning. Iconic. We love her.
We love Hagglefish Market. The very first game I got to commentate of Splat Zones was on Hagglefish Market, and my voice still hurts from that game, and it has not yet recovered. I will say, New Meta, as I mentioned earlier, Storm, the former ballpoint player, has been playing a lot of that Rattler Mini Splatling. And let me tell you, trying to paint over a Mini Splatling is already like punching a wall, but when you trade paint over and over, and then they also happen to have a Trizuka, it can get that much more annoying to deal with. And I'm not saying this in a sense that Fruitella can't have answers here, but as soon as I saw that, first thing that came to mind is, oh boy, that Mini Splatling's gonna build an awful lot of Trizukas.
From the person that had to paint over a mini with a pencil with a minimal paint comp, cut the cameras. Cut the cameras. I'm not playing around, man. I will have on now. And especially considering it's Splat Zones and it's Hagglefish where you kind of want paint to drop on to get going. Mods?
It's calling fun. The game hasn't even happened and we're already prepping ourselves for the pain of this. But I will say, for all the first stages that you could get here in a best of 3 set, it's nice to have one like this early on. We'll take a look here. Pretty standard on the meta, as you called out. And on the other side, it's basically their same sort of off-meta comp that they've been running. This time, it's the End Parries instead of the Tetras.
No, absolutely. I do like this choice of weapons regardless. That splashdown, if you can catch the rest of Fruitella in a pretty interesting spot, which tends to happen when you're starting to be pushed back, you can capitalize a lot off of that splashdown. But crap,
They already have
Oh my god!
Ellie, I know you don't have a stopwatch behind the screen here, but like That had to have been 10 seconds, if that. Okay, 40 points off it right now. We can stop laughing a little bit. Fruittella trying to push forward a little bit. But here's where things can really start to get frustrating. You know what you have to paint through to deal with over and over and over again, and then some of these other weapons can work around the flank. So how do you counter that? Well, use a special, take some people out on the other side, and then your better fighting comp gets to move forward and fight people in that way. Way to earn yourself a wipeout, and now Fruitella's comp can really start to shine.
Absolutely here. They're looking to be in a really, really great position here. And I love seeing this pencil just trying to get another cooler out on the field. Both of these pencils going to be fighting for that paint on the field as New Meta is looking for ways to drop in. Hammer coming out from Lulu, trying to find some pigs here. Unable, we're in a little bit of a corner here. Unable to quite find one here, but looking to try and be a rat somewhere else here. The points continue to tick down here for Fruitella as they continue to put some pressure on the members of New Meta. New Meta able to take out their bucket, which is nice, but that's going to be whoa! Splashdown. Do you see what I was talking about? There's the splashdown.
2.5, we'll call it there, that splashdown got. Now the pencils are going to duel a little bit on this side before eventually one moves back to the other position that the pencil goes on this map. And now, again, how is Fruitella going to push back out? Last time they juiced up and used their specials, and they warded a couple of people on this side. Here, they might actually get the zone because they pushed a couple of people away, but no, they're going to get through that crab tank with a nice toss of the hammer here, which means they get nothing for that. They've traded 2 or 3 members out. Points continuing to tick away. They will get the flip with the triple ink strike, but they're starting to lose the pace here. New Meta very, very quick.
No, yeah, able to flip that zone back in their favor. Another Zuka, able to take one out here from Moguri Cap. Just, again, this mini has been farming Zukas like no tomorrow, continuously keeping Fruitella on their toes to make sure they don't get smacked by Zuka from the heavens. And it's going to be a wipeout in the favor of Fruitella. Just because there's a lot of Zukas on the field does not mean hope is lost, and that is showing as they're just going to keep moving forward and just keep New Meta at bay to make sure they don't get themselves onto the field.
Nora on the S-Blast, absolutely ripping this game back open for the members of Fruitella there. The last person up, and so everyone goes to try to close out, but diving after a 1 remaining S-Blast is always a big gamble, and that time, boy, did New Meta lose it here. Now they're going to have a really difficult time trying to fight their way out. One of them already did go down, so at least they found a way to maybe take one member out here. Lulu getting behind and taking one. Do they have any follow-up, though? The answer right now is no, it's just Jay. They're going to have an opportunity to maybe get one more person back near the zone, but that's going to be it. As long as there's no big mistakes, Fruitella should have this 1, 2, 1. What?
Ooh.
No, they took one out.
Wait.
Hold on. What?
The 1-point dream never dies. The 1-point dream never dies. Fruitella.
I forgot the last person alive was a mini Splatling. Of course they were going to take the zone.
No, genuinely the amount of paint that Mini puts on the field is ridiculous. It genuinely almost feels illegal, and they're going to be forcing that Mini off the field right here. Lulu trying to come up and getting taken out by the S-Blast, but Isabel coming in to clean things right up, not allowing Fruitella to have any sort of member advantage on the zone. Potential. That was a solo cap for the pencil, I'm pretty sure. Maybe there was an extra bomb in there, but Fruitella able to put things at bay for a little bit longer as New Meta is now forced on the back foot once more.
Yeah, oh my gosh, there's 3 people fighting 1, and actually, wait a minute, time, Isabel's still alive? Okay, never mind, I was gonna say, that Emperor didn't die? What, there were 3 people over there, but you've again started to see when Fruitella can get into these positions, how difficult it is to push them back here, in particular that S-Blast. I'm gonna keep harping on it. He's able to take out another 2, or at least 2.5, and then jump back over to close it out. What do you have to deal with this sort of burst damage? The Mini's gonna run forward and try to take it. Will the Mini do it again? Yes, Storm doing just enough. This Mini Splatling has kept him in the game like twice now.
That Mini Splatling is making the zone look like Urchin Zone. That tiny, with how fast it's generally being painted over. And with Zuka coming in, trying to find a pick here for the side of New Meta. Unable to quite find one right there, but it doesn't matter because that zone is in their favor and those penalty points are out of the way. 25 points left for New Meta. And if they're able to keep this pace up and keep turning heads for Fruitella here, they might just be able to knock this out right here. Punchy's Crab coming in, putting, nope, it's not actually going to be enough with Fruitella, especially with the help of that Crab, able to put a cap on that zone. And with less than 10 seconds, it could be anyone's game.
Here we go. Isabel gonna run right into the middle. Drop down. Will it be enough in time? It is, but they lose it immediately. Oh, the Booyah Bomb. So well timed. Everybody on the map knew what tools the other team had. Very end of the game, you sit back and throw them all at zone and see who wins the coin flip. But I want to kind of hone in on a nice call that you had there at the very end. The idea of turning heads. Because, yes, I believe it was Lulu on the brush who was able to turn the heads of these different members of New Meta, or of Fruitella. But again, at a certain point, the misdirection isn't quite enough. And if you've got all these flank attacks, and that's the way that you're trying to play this, eventually, look at this. No one's going to really contest zone. You get flips over and over, and eventually you just kind of run out of time.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I also want to point out this ridiculous like zone flip that happened here, because we had the splashdown from Isabel actually flip the zone, but then the strikes forced the flip like less than I think it was like maybe a second or less, completely setting the game as well. But no, you're absolutely right there. You can only do one thing so many times before the other team catches on, and Fruittella definitely was able to catch on to Lulu's plan there. And they're like, well, if you just run forward to the zone, what is one burst going to do? We can turn around in like 2 seconds and it'll be just fine. And that's exactly what they did.
Yep, and I mean, what's your answer to the crab up there on 10? I mean, you cannot play that map and not have something as your answer. And obviously, in previous scuffles there, the answer was we'll throw a hammer at the crab, or we'll throw a Zuka at the crab. And if you don't have one of those immediately ready, you kind of see what happens. Crab just sort of takes it, it makes enough space for the pencil to get up there too, and you flip. And it's zones. You flip enough, eventually time runs out, and you win the game that way. But as I mentioned earlier, Fufu, this is a game of 3. This counter pick is going to be huge.
Inkfarer Art Academy, that's not a bad map. I don't think this is a bad map at all. Honestly, I think the anchors are going to have maybe the best time here, especially the pencils. They are able to, if you can get your pencil actually on that center block, you're going to be looking nice and pretty, because they're going to oversee just about everywhere your team wants to go. I think that is definitely going to be the goal for both of these teams. As it is but once you're on the floor, like besides that block, the center, it's very crowded. It reminds me almost of like ship-shaped tower with how crowded it feels in the center. Just that one piece of geometry does so much. And I want to see how both of these teams are going to be dealing with that.
Yeah, new meta counterpicking here too. Also, anytime you have a counterpick, your mind immediately goes to, okay, what are they going to switch to from a comp standpoint? Because of course, the stage counterpick is really nice, but it's zones and it's all maps of zones here. You have your pick of any strong comp. We saw it earlier in the previous set where FTWin had a very specific counterpick that they had saved for that exact moment, had a big compositional switch, forced their opponent's Moonlight into a bad spot too. Maybe this is where new meta puts Isabel back over on the Tetras. That's an option that they have utilized in previous maps, especially if you feel like you're getting outpaced on fights. Well, we know what Tetras can do when it starts to push the pace and how difficult it can be to deal with it. On Fruitella's side, they don't got to change a thing. I mean, they're running meta's meta right now.
Yeah, especially with that S-Blast. That S-Blast was pulling work, like genuinely just about checking every corner they possibly could. And I don't think we're going to see any less of that during this match here, especially considering the amount of ledges this game has. Yeah, there it is. There's that S-Blast and the Slosher again. Pretty meta stuff here. Those red dapples are still coming out though. We're interesting. We're going for red apple, ballpoint and pencil, by the way.
You know, when we said they've got something that they could change up, I wasn't expecting a full-on swap like this. So, okay, let's take stock here. Of course, this is Storm going back over to a weapon that was made famous by Storm in the early parts of Splatoon 3. And then on top of that, they've got double cooler too. So this is a really, really interesting swap. We'll see how long it takes Fruitella to figure it out, or if there's really even much for them to figure out.
Yeah, it looks like just with they're going in with the safety net of cooler here, so they have the option to die if they really do feel like it right now. Also, I want to point out that the zone hasn't been capped once. It's been like 40 seconds just about, and the zone still hasn't been capped. There's a lot happening. I think Fruitella is going to be the first. Yep, they are going to be the first ones to cap that zone there, forcing meta just ever so slightly back. But this Booyah Bomb is definitely going to help make a little bit more space here for the members of Fruitella to get themselves here on the field, or kind of is. They're still able to hold zone, but no big waves are necessarily happening. And honestly, anti-waves just happened because new meta just took 3 members of Fruitella down and actually wiped them out, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we'll call it 4 down there. And again, double cooler means that this could get really nasty in a hurry if they are able to set up some of these fights the way that they want. One of them's already gone down here. Lulu is going to at least get a trade here. Storm's got to be careful. Would love to build up a special at this time. The jetpack could be so strong, but Nora, I keep saying this name. Again, another couple going down. You have no fear of a fast comp when you have this type of burst radius. Great work, and now going for even more.
No, yeah, it literally forces them to slow down. What are they gonna do? Walk into the blaster? And Fiesta you know, who needs a brush anyways? Yeah, we can read those movements here. New Meta is still in control of the zone. That's going to change here in just a second, most likely here. Oh, Moody Cap is just... Why are we feeding for the pen? We are feeding for the pen at the moment. Able to grab Cooler. Zone is being threatened a little bit here by the side of New Meta. It's going to be a bloodbath in center in just a second. I'm counting on it.
Yeah, I think you got exactly what you wanted. Everybody swapping around here. Lulu's now back already. Jay just desperately trying to find somebody to shoot that doesn't die immediately. And the lead will switch. This is getting out of hand a little bit here. Watch out, there's a couple people waiting here. I hope that this doesn't get capped.
It might just be, it might not, might just be Lulu coming in with the hammer, coming in, putting in a lot of paint on the zone right here. Able to get a hammer kill on top of that. Lulu's coming in to make some waves, fighting with Punchy, running loops around Punchy, as a matter of fact. Punchy just like, I'm not dealing with this, I'm getting out of here. See ya, as New Meta continues to have that zone in their favor. Awaken able to take a really nice pick on Fiesta as well. Feeding for the crab, only to get picked up by the pencil, but it doesn't stop Fruitella from being on a little bit of the back foot, and that lead is 1 point for being swapped, and not their watch, though.
The 1 point meme game after game after game. It's just how it ends up working here. Now the members of New Meta, there's always that little wave after everybody has started making their jumps in where everybody knows that this was a cooler jump and then everybody died too quick and it starts to get out of hand. But now again, what is New Meta going to do to push their way back in? There's an awful lot of yellow up on their Splat area, and I think a couple members are starting to go down there. That is 2 that'll go down here. This jetpack's not going to be able to turf, so it needs some directs. Does find 1. Not able to close it out on Punchy. Just a couple more rotations here, though, and they might end up losing it. There's less than 20 on the clock.
Yeah, and Lulu coming in, finding an extra pick on the Slosher as well. Just fighting for the zone. New Meta's just doing everything they can to get themselves and that zone in their favor, but it's just not enough with the Booyah coming out. I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough, 9. That's going to be game.
S-Blast 91. Nora is so good with that thing. And you made it, you said it perfectly earlier, Fufu, when you said, what are you going to do? Walk into the S-Blast 91? And at a certain point, yeah, you have to. And that's usually how it ends up going. Oh, when you have all these fast weapons, you've got the dualies, you've got flying up into the air, the jetpack, and of course you have the brush from Lulu. I mean, just that S-Blast just feasting game after game after game. A good fight from New Meta to make it this far, but Fruitella proving why they are the 3 seed and why some people thought they should have been the 2 seed.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at this. Even in the hands of a faster comp, they kept their cool, kept their structure. The structure is the important part. The fact that they did not crumble upon that pressure and said, okay, well, we have the weapons. We do what we've got to do. Lock in, and they took it home. It's as simple as that.
Lock in. Isn't it that easy? Just like, yo, guys, let's just lock in. That's all we got to do. That's all we've got to do to win. We get the run back
just shoot them
now, Fufu. We didn't get to watch this set earlier. That was our illustrious commentary team earlier who got to watch it. But it was 3-0 for Moonlight when these two played on the winner's side of the bracket. Now, that was Moonlight playing hot and gave FTWin everything they could handle. Has this little break cooled off Moonlight at all? Because, again, they dominated Fruitella in the previous set. Fruitella gets a great win here. They are the team that's been playing set after set after set. And Fufu, this is the last ticket that we're giving out today. It's the winner of this set.
Yeah, and you know, this is where all the stakes are raised. Fruitella, again, momentum's a huge thing. So I'm taking what you said and I'm gonna run with it because momentum can literally be between a win and a loss. But again, Moonlight was beefing with FTWin, and nearly took them out while they were at it if it wasn't for that counter pick. So my bets are going to be on Moonlight. Bias, a slight amount of bias, but I think Fruitella can definitely put up a really good fight regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know, like, if you told me it wasn't biased and it was just that you looked at the earlier set, I mean, I would not have an argument against that. It's like they 3-0'd them last time they played. Like, clearly Moonlight had something there earlier. Flat zones, of course, is a very fickle mode in a lot of senses, though. You see a lot of just one flip here, one flip there. that spirals into a team fight and suddenly points come flying off the board. I'd be interested in looking, I think I actually am gonna go click back through here. I wanna see what the counter picks that Fruittella picked last time were. They started on Eeltail Alley, then Fruittella counterpicked to Scorch Gorge, and then they counterpicked back to Eeltail Alley a second time?
Question
All
mark?
right. I would hope that that's not what they try to do again. Generally counterpicking. Oh no, it was Manta Maria the first game. My mind. It was Manta Maria, then Scorch Gorge, then Eeltail Alley. 3 kind of unconventional maps, interesting to note. And now we go to Barnacle and Dime, where yes, Moonlight beat FTWin and looked very strong, but this is a much more neutral map than any of the other 3 they played in that previous set.
But I also want to note that both of these teams they have a lot of structure. For the most part, they are structured and they can stick to it. As long as the mental stays intact and as long as both of these teams stick to their guns, I think this could be a pretty even match for both of them, considering their weapon pools and how they've been playing as of recent. So I don't think we're going to see anything well, for lack of a better word, out of the ordinary, like any big risk. Like we saw new meta, obviously, with the different weapon choices and obviously different play styles. I don't think we're going to see them being too different in terms of playstyle here between these 2 teams just because of their weapon choices.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Moonlight dips into those odd counter picks again, because this was obviously one of their counter picks in the FTWin set. They had the Head Scratcher as the Bluefin pick, and they do have very different looks just based kind of on what Nolan plays. That's really the only shift that they have, but you know, switching from an S-Blast to a Kraken to missiles, you know, it can be kind of a different look. So this might be the first time Moonlight's had to counterpick against Fruittella, just depending on how this goes. We are back to best of 5, as that lovely little ticker there at the bottom tells you. So the best of 3s are over at this point. And again, I want to reiterate, the winner of this moves into the Splat World Series. The other is going to have to wait for Qualifier 2 in order to get a little revenge, sweet revenge.
I think we already have a revenge set on our matches. I mean, again, Moonlight took them out earlier in the bracket, so I would say the opportunity for revenge is definitely there for Fruitella already. They just gotta take that opportunity and seize it. I love the stinking pro. There's missiles on both sides, actually. You guys are both so predictable.
Well, it's interesting here. This was not what Nolan picked when they played against FTWin on this map. He picked the 96 Gal Deco. So you talk about like a counter pick that they have prepped for FTWin because they played against them so many times. Now here against Fruitella, they've opted to go an entirely different route on this same map. So again, they like the missiles. They feel like the missiles will give them an avenue back in. We'll see if that ends up being the right choice. Right now, Nora continuing right where things left off in that previous set. Basil is going to at least limit some of the damage, but that train from Fruitella is starting to run real fast.
Absolutely here. Fruitella, we're able to actually get a really nice pick on the pro, but it does not stop Fruitella from wanting to run in that zone, quickly flipping in Moonlight's favor, moving forward, taking as much space as they technically need to, actually opting to stay off the snipe, meanwhile waiting for Fruitella to really get to them. Booyah comes out for Fruitella, actually caps the zone, interestingly enough, allowing a lot more space for Fruitella to get themselves moving, but Omega sharking up and taking picks, doing what a decap does.
Yeah, that was an awful long wait for only one, so they actually traded out there, and they actually end up losing the zone and the lead kind of as a result of that. So again, in the heat of the moment, you make a choice, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. This is where we really didn't see a lot from Moonlight last time. They had that one big takeback that they got to do earlier that didn't take a ton of resources. We'll see now what they're able to do. Is Shadow going to fire first or wait for somebody to dive? No, Shadow's going to open the fireworks first. Fire it off there. They've got the missiles as the follow-up as well. Can they take out this S-Blast? They do. Can they now cap the zone? They certainly have enough people near it, and they will do so. Gave up a lot of points, but as long as they're able to establish some sort of foothold, Fufu, they should be okay.
I think the biggest difference from here to last push is that they're making options. They're trying to force the snipe in their favor here. We are seeing Shadow obviously making a little bit of waves with this crab using that 10 shield, but unfortunately they are going to be pushed off of their snipe here with Omega going down as well, leaving Basil here on the middle of the field to try not only get jump for their teammates, but I think they're just going to be forced back here as Shadow is just trying to hold whatever space they can here on the snipe, but I think they're going to be going down to Nora there. Yep.
Basil, you saw, had a couple shots trained over there, was not able to get both of them connect enough in time to save the teammate. That could end up being big here. You see that Punchy's in a great spot now. Again, Basil going to slowly push them away, but Omega went down. I'm not even sure what that was to. Maybe a wayward bomb or something like that. Moonlight's just a little hiccups, little stutters here and there. They've not been as clean as they were in that first set.
No, yeah, I think that cooldown that you were mentioning before is definitely starting to get to them a little bit. So they got a defrost once more here. Moonlight is able to get the zone in their favor though, but Punchy here fighting from the angles, from the alleyways, trying to take whatever picks they can. Unable to quite find it. We're seeing one down on each side. Fiesta popping that crab. Only thing at Trizuka, we're dodging Trizuka actually, as a matter of fact, but not really able to get much out of it anyways. Fruittella once again in control of zone. They are still in the lead here, just trying to keep the zone in their favor as long as they can.
They really aren't following for a lot of the shenanigans. Their one did end up going after that tent shield and Omega jumped out, but I think they've wisened up to the general idea of Moonlight's composition and how they fight it out. As long as you're able to at least trade, you should find a way to break through. And if Nora can go and continue the absolute tear that this S-Blast has been on, all you have to do is turn one of those trades into a 1v2 victory, and suddenly the game can move back in your favor.
Absolutely here. And Moonlight, I would assume, would want to get a couple more picks here, but unfortunately getting a little bit too greedy there, Omega. Unfortunately going down here. Again, we don't want to be losing members here. We're seeing that crab coming out from Fruittella, especially. There's not enough manpower to really do much except hold here against Fruittella. Seeing all 4 members actually back on the field, but just about almost everyone's alive. But Moonlight is able to get that zone. Now we're going to be fighting for the snipe. Able to wipe out. Moonlight's mid break has made its way to fruition.
Oh my gosh, and look at this. 3 of them are really close to their specials too. If they opt to just sit back here and wait and turf around here, Nolan's been sitting on these missiles for a hot minute. When are they going to fire it up there? 2 specials online, about to be 3 specials online. Nolan waiting, firing the counter missiles. They will take the lead just barely before that neutralizes. Are they able to get anybody? If they get a couple more of these players, that could be it. That's 2 going down. I think Shadow got 2 of those with a couple shots. Shadow gets 3. That might be it, Fufu. Can anybody even get to the zone?
I don't think so here, considering every member of Moonlight here is near the zone. Shadow able to take a pick on top of that. That's going to be game. That is what Moonlight needed. Moonlight needed to be able to push past that snipe area and just hold that. That's all they needed. And, you know, from the game we saw with FTWin, that's what got them to win in the first place. Being able to push past the center and just hold. That is where they excel, and that is where they lock this game in.
I'm impressed with their patience, because that was, I mean, the better part of maybe 2 minutes they spent just sort of trading cap for cap right around the 60 to 40 mark that became the 50 to 30 mark over and over. And then eventually, again, we didn't fully get to see it at the time if it was just one bomb or if it was the shots coming out from Shadow that opened it up, or, you know, whatever it was. But they just took that one opening that they had waited that entire time for. And as long as you keep trading, eventually you're going to start to whittle down your own penalty. Eventually the opponent's going to start to get desperate and you can make it happen. And we moved away from the camera right there at the very end. I think that was like 6 in a row that we spectated Shadow there for. That's about as good a Tentrella play as you're going to see.
No, yeah, just an amazing job in that temper. I also want to mention, because you were talking about the patience, the game felt very safe for a majority of like the couple minutes we had until we saw those big breaks come in. I think that's where Moonlight really just headed right there. Let's go. Let's lock this game in. I'm honestly more curious to see Fruittella's counter pick. If I'm being honest, we've been seeing a lot of silly counter picks here, so curious if I'm being honest.
And I mean, it's got to sting a little bit because Fruitella has to feel like they had that game under control. Well, okay, the silliness continues. We're just going to play Splatoon 1 today, apparently. Everyone's going to be super jumping in with quick respawn and tacticooler up. We're just going to fight everywhere, and it's going to take us 10 seconds to swim back to mid. Splatoon 1 maps, everybody. Flounder Heights. Here we go. So this is really interesting to me, Fufu, because this traditionally has been the map where everybody brings out something very different comp-wise. Is this a pick from Fruitella because they think they'll switch, or are they picking this because they think it'll force Moonlight to switch?
That's a very good question here. I do think that Fruitella's comp still technically works on this map. I still think that the pencils that each team has can still technically work if they really feel like it, although there are maybe better options in Spatlings. I think the biggest thing, like beyond weapon picks, if I'm being honest, is just making sure that you don't get locked out, because if you get locked out, you are fighting an uphill battle and it is incredibly hard to retake on Flounder. There goes my mic. It's incredibly hard to retake on Flounder, and that's the biggest problem with this map, if I'm being honest.
Y'all gotta stop picking the Splatoon 1 maps. Your Fufu versus the mic matchup has not been going well when Splatoon 1 maps go up on the screen here. So Won't somebody please think of the commentators? Okay, here we are. It is a heavy edit that's going to be coming out. On the other side, Basil is going to stick onto the pencil, so a little bit of a swap. And interestingly enough, we have a different sort of Splash-O-Matic coming out here from Punchy, so maybe feeling like the triple ink strike is what's going to keep them in this game, or at least stall it out if things get out of hand.
No, absolutely. I do think that strikes are always great as long as, strikes are all down to the user, and I still think they are an incredible special. We're going to be seeing that in fruition here with Fruitella able to cap zones, forcing Moonlight way back into their spawn, already trying to force that lockout situation right off the bat, but they are going to be going 2 down in response. Moonlight coming in to try and cap these zones, but Fiesta sitting here in the back, sitting nice, cute, and pretty, trying to take Basil, unfortunately going down, and that's a wipeout in the favor of Moonlight already. The situation Fruitella did not want to be in.
I'm not saying that Basil just killed like 7 people, but that entire early play from there was predicated on them being able to jump back on where Basil and the other members of Moonlight were. And as you looked at the top of the screen, it was just one member of Fruitella goes down, one member of Fruitella goes down, one member of Fruitella's goes down. And I didn't see Basil go down, so I think they just held serve at that point. The big early gamble from Fruitella went in the worst possible way for them. And now look at how far back they are. Omega sitting there as well, firing. They are able to take out Omega. Now Shadow's jumping in on top. This game could already end up ending here. So many points going out. They've taken out 2 members. They are diving, but they were tacticoolered up. Will they be able to take the opposing zone in time? Now we're back on Omega, who jumps in and gets taken out. Punchy saying, this way, come on, take zone, and they do.
Oh my goodness, they were rushing that down. They were standing on business, and they're going to keep standing on business. Punchy tossing those strikes, unfortunately, one of them ending up on the fence here. But Nora fighting this was in a really good position. I actually really like this position they are in right now. They're able to, check this right side, making sure no one's coming up. Actually taking a whole pick while they're at it. They feel silly enough, but Fruitella finally seeing that situation they wanted to be in the first place. But Omega over here in the back trying to do a little bit of silly. We're getting a little silly, unfortunately getting picked off. But Fruitella, they're looking good right now.
Yeah, this was the exact response. And you made up the point earlier about this map in particular. In terms of the big swings of points, this map has to be one of the most volatile. Now, they've got great specials to use here. Yes, Nora did go down, but they certainly have the tools to close it down. And that's Omega out. So both of the frontliners are going to be out for a little while. They weren't tacticoolered up here. They just need not to drop anybody, and they should be able to take this lead. But one does go down. Shadow got the jumper in. Nora goes down. The lead swaps all in the mix. Fruitella has just enough of an answer for the time being. Shadow would love to close this down and does. Almost fumbled it here, but Moonlight will come up with a good position at the end of it all.
I didn't really come to think how much of a pain in the butt fighting Shadow ought to be on this map, because that 10 just takes up so much space in such a narrow map in multiple points, and I feel like Fruitella's definitely feeling that there. They do have the weapons there to, put a lot of pressure and possibly get rid of that 10, but I really wanted to make that mention because I've seen them continuously be a pain.
Yeah, but Shadow knows exactly how long to survive there, where to fire. They've now scattered a couple of the different members there and will return. Now, Nolan went down somewhere. We didn't see exactly who got it. Shadow takes another one out and is now probably trying to jump back to make sure that whoever got behind them can't ruin them there. It's actually Fiesta there on the crab. That's going to open everything up. Punchy's going to be able to swim through there. Once again, Fufu, it's one player who finds an angle. We see this so often on Flounder Heights. One player who gets a pick and cycles that into a special, takes both zones.
Oh no, and we're seeing that whoa! Does that shield even exist? Excuse me? I don't know if you saw it. I'm sorry, that thing went poof, gone. Moonlight already looking to try and get themselves back and just trying to find those opportunities. They are going to have Cooler out on their side of the map here. They're playing the patient game. We're going to play a little patient, slowly looking for picks, slowly getting themselves forward here. Again, Shadow's 10 shield. I love that tent. I love tent.
That shield is working overtime there. I was going to say, Shadow, come on. 3 people are shooting at you. You can't just hold still. You got to move. But Shadow had different thoughts, and Fruitella happy to go ahead and collect on that one. Through all the wild highlight plays here, it's worth noting Fruitella is still in the lead. They have been nursing this 1-point lead for quite a while here. Look at this. Both of them immediately squid rolling the same direction, trying to get the other one to swing first. And it is Fruitella that will once again come out at the end of the scrum. This game's still very close, fighting through that crab. Is Shadow. Great work now. Okay, now Basil fighting close quarters with somebody here. This is so difficult to identify who comes up in these scuffles. Nor now jumping away. Everybody else had respawned in time, so at the very least they'll have a safe jump and a safe landing. This has been one for the ages. So often this map ends so quickly. Instead, they've been fighting it out with 1-point leads.
Literally 1 point leads is the name of the game in this match because we have 10 seconds here and Moonlight needs to catch both of these zones in their favor here. They stop playing around, but oh, unfortunately Shadow getting picked off from the underside and it's gonna be rough. Can they cap the zone in time? No! With a 1 point lead and a dream, Fruitella able to take game 2. Oh my goodness, they were holding on to that. That was like the thread that kept that game in their favor. Oh my goodness.
You know, it feels weird to say that any part of that game was patient, but I have to give the members of Fruitella credit for being willing to send just 1 or 2 people up on some of these flanks to take zones in that fashion to break up the pressure of Moonlight and ensure that as long as Moonlight didn't get any sort of, we'll say maybe a double or get somebody falling on a bomb or one of these Trizukas take out 2 people, they probably were going to be able to at least hold on to one of their zones and then get their respawns through. So again, understanding the assignment, great work by them. And I want to say again, Nora, every time that something really started to get out of hand, Nora was sort of sharking the middle under the grates, firing upwards. Not even a tent shield can do anything about that. So a great counter pick for them. And here we go. We've got a 1-1. Fruitella has finally made Moonlight bleed. And now Moonlight's going to have their first counter pick against this squad. And it's Mahi Resort. Never mind. We're staying Splatoon 1. Here we go. Yet another one.
But we're back in the building. We're back in the building. Okay, this one is not exactly Splatoon 1. It has been transformed into a Splatoon 3 map with all the renovations that happened. But this is definitely a map that, you know, I always think of the Anchor because Basil, Moonlight, you know, it makes sense. But this is very much a map that Anchors are going to have a great time in. Both of these teams have pencils. They're going to do great. This is a very straightforward map. I think both of these teams just do well on this map with their comps, if I'm being honest. There's nothing much more to say than that.
Yeah, it's whenever one team has a splash wall user or any sort of damage reduction user, and a Moonlight has 2 of them, should be noted here if they opt to go with it. One of those sitting on your grade, so as you're coming out of spawn, your right side, your opponent's left side, can really make breaking back in difficult, especially if you feel like you've got the backliner in the room. And again, every set, Moonlight probably feels like they have that. So it makes sense from a counter pick standpoint. I like it there. Fruitella, I would expect to go back to maybe their more tried and true composition. The last time they had a slight pick, but I'll be interested in seeing if they maybe stick with the triple ink strike, because triple ink strike I think has been giving them a little bit more than Crab was on the splash, and they already have another way to get Crab in those splat dualies. So I wonder if that's going to be a permanent change, something that maybe is a little bit more measured for this type of map mode.
Also, strikes are incredibly versatile. Like, I still have a very big soft spot for strikes because they are just not only versatile and flexible, they are just really good in general. Yes, they are on the field for less amount of time than, let's say, a Crab, but once they're out there, there's nothing stopping them from going off the second they leave your hand. So I think that can be really, really good if capitalized on correctly. But again, we have the small map for this first bit, and they're actually sticking edit. Oh, interesting. I actually kind of like that, low-key.
Yeah, and they've switched now over. So, okay, they are going back to the Crab version of the Splash, but they're also going end parry Splat Dualies here. So both the Splash-O-Matic and the Splat Dualies opt to change to their other variants, completely against what I thought they might end up doing here. Omega immediately going face first into the Crab because, of course, why not? Gotta be careful here, though. This one could start to spiral out of control. That's already a couple down. Shadow's probably moving away. Yeah, has already gone way back here. Fruitella a head full of steam. They've already got good positions, and look at that. They already sent a couple people up there to fight.
No, yeah, absolutely. We are seeing Shadow take that left position with Basil, of all people. Here comes up Hen, and we are a splashdown jump from Fiesta, able to take Shadow out, but it's not going to be enough because they took Basil out too. Oh, there was a Crab. So Crab on top of that, and Fruitella just in a situation where they thought they weren't going to recover. They, in fact, recovered and were actually able to turn the tides on Moonlight. What a crazy play there.
That's a quad. That's a quad for Fiesta there. What a party indeed. Jumping in with a splashdown like it's 2018, 2017, somewhere in there. Why not? It still works. Nolan would love to close this down. Instead, Fiesta once again going to start fighting through here. It's all pandemonium in the middle of the board. Omega once again is at the opponent's spawn and gets taken out as a result. Shadow gets jumped on here, and again, because of how compressed this map is, I'm worried that if Omega goes forward too many times and gets taken out, the general stall that this composition can bring, it's not going to be as effective on this map. Although, despite all that, they have managed to hold on to the lead and take a couple out there, so for the time being, it hasn't come back to bite them, and sure enough, Moonlight fights through it all.
No, yeah, especially Omega was getting that double 2 here in the front, which is really huge. I'm gonna get a little bit more pain. They are incredibly close to that bubble, but Moonlight's gonna continue to put these points on the board. Shadow gonna opt to take care of this left side, but I am seeing that the pro is off the field. And Shadow still able to even out those numbers there with the Trizuka, and it's not gonna be enough to get the zone. That splashdown, nuh-uh. So Moonlight is looking to a very well possible knockout here.
Great work here. This is where you want Shadow to be. Runs right forward there. I don't even know where the other three are. It's probably somewhere near the zone because that's where Moonlight was set up. And what a counter pick. Such a dominant position. We talked earlier about how if you could get a splash wall or a 10th Umbrella Shield on that left side of the map, that the opponent's going to slowly but surely get warded over to the right. And eventually, for all those dives that Omega ends up taking, with Decav, you only need one to work. And at some point there, Omega Shirzak made it work.
No, absolutely. I think like once Omega was able to get that double, it was like, all right, let's get rolling. And the ball, in fact, rolled because we saw that knockout come pretty swiftly there from Moonlight. I feel like the name of this set has really been Clash and Center for like 2 minutes until one of them just knocks it out. I'm with the exception of last game. Actually, I'm a liar. That's just Moonlight's winning games, as a matter of fact.
Well, all right. I mean, Fufu, this could be it. If you're Fruitella, where do you go? I mean, what did you see? You had to pick a bonkers counter pick in order to take a game from Moonlight. You've already tried in your previous set some other wild picks. What are you thinking for him?
Are we going back to Urchin? Are we going back to Urchin Underpass?
I hope not.
It's possible. Or Bluefin, I don't know. Or you can pull a Moonlight. You can like throw it back at them and get like a Bluefin. I don't know. It could be anything. Fruitella went Flounder of all things, which frankly is pretty tame compared to the other two maps that we had. So I don't know. I don't know, Nine. It really could be. I think being able to put like smack Basil a little bit out of the way is gonna do them good. No one wants a pencil in the field if you're fighting them.
Yeah, you know, that's an interesting point here, and we kind of had this conversation earlier when Urchin came up, is like, even if it's not a great map for you, do you think it's worse for your opponent? The pick is in, and it's Humpback Pump Track. Okay. I don't believe I've seen this one today from any of the sets that, certainly not that you and I have spectated, but even in some of the matches I was watching earlier with the previous commentary crew. But here you go, throw your special at the zone and pray tends to be the name of the game here. But if you have a slosher player that you feel is strong, if you feel like your S-Blast is really strong, it makes sense on paper here. I like the choice. Will we see the pencil come back out? Will they stay with the heavy edit? This is Fruitella's last stand. If Moonlight wins, they will be the second team to qualify from today's event. Fruitella, this could be it.
No, yeah, and like you're talking about seeing the pen and edit, I think they are going to stick to their guns on each side. They have possible weapons to make this work. I think 10, I'm not sure how 10 exactly works with the geometry here. I'm assuming it's not going to be the best just because of all the little like the hills in this map, whatever it's called. I almost said lumps, bro. Those are not lumps, those are hills. But yeah, sticking to the guns on each side here, as expected, to be honest. It really is just about how you approach the map itself here, and there's a lot of flank routes, so I believe we're going to be seeing a lot of those.
Well, interesting to note here, Fruitella did make one swap. They've gone back to the same comp that they used on the Flounder game, so they are back now to the Crab Dualies and instead the Triple Ink Strike. So maybe they feel like that's the option. I mean, again, as you were noting here, it's the same main weapon. You're going to get a lot of the same looks, but the subtle changes could make a difference here. Great fight there by Punchy, who probably didn't have a whole lot of HP left. They're going to go ahead and take this zone back, and now can they force the members of Moonlight into a bad spot on their own side? For the time being, Moonlight held serve at least. Nothing's really falling through now. It's going to be that classic trade of specials that we're used to seeing.
Absolutely, and taking the S-Blast off the field, there's going to be a humongous pick, but Fiesta crabbing here from the opposite side here, actually able to take Nolan out while they're at it, but Moonlight has not quite let go of the zone just yet. Fiesta coming in, just putting a little more point as they slowly collapse on the members of Moonlight, able to take the zone while they're at it too. Get your drinks up, you're going to need it, as the zone is a neutral. We're having a scrap in the center. We're just scrapping a little bit in center here.
Now, Basil was the forefront member of the team right there. That was the opposing side of the map that your pencil was on here. That should tell you the way that Moonlight is playing right now, how free they're playing. But through it all, Fruitella is the team with the lead right now, doing a nice job of trying to get some crossfire here. They've shaken a couple people around the side, but 2 of the members ended up going down there. So both sides, I guess, just sent their frontliners to attack the opposing turrets and things of that nature. Again, Fruitella still somehow scoring off of it all. I have to think that it's this swap over to some of these other weapons that have at least kept the zone somewhere in their favor. Right now, this is a crazy scramble. How has it only been 90 seconds?
It's a playground map. This is literally the map that I consider the playground map of all time, because you can go anywhere and everywhere on this map and somehow it'll still work, or maybe not. You take risks everywhere you go, and we're seeing that happening right now with both Moonlight taking every flank route. Same with Fruitella. Every player is everywhere.
I'd say when Moonlight sent all 3 people over to that left side and that crab was up, there is an alternate world here where all 3 of those members got taken down by that last crab shot. Instead, we're once again going to spectate Basil over here, the forefront member of the team, the aggro pencil player. Why not? You outrange everybody. If you hit your shots, why not? And now moving up with Shadow, too. And look at that. They warded them all the way over to Omega, who was waiting. And Nolan's only job to paint the zone will be done. This is Moonlight firing at all cylinders. Fully earnest here. These triple ink strikes are going to land, but the lead is going to get swapped. A penalty applied, and that's Moonlight in a nutshell right there.
Oh my goodness, that was honestly really funny here. And it looks like Fruitella is going to be forcing the members of Moonlight back here finally after that very, very whimsical set of events that just happened on the side of Moonlight. Okay, like, I guess Humpback's key is just send your backlines forward, call it a day, you win, profit.
You know what? Hey, if you've got a backliner who can do that, there's not a whole lot of maps you probably aren't going to enjoy. Again, these jumps starting to get called out here. It all happens so quick. You just try to get back into the fight. Fruitella got dangerously close that time, but you saw that they were never really able to go and take out Basil, and as long as Basil is up here in some of these positions, it means you're not going to be able to get the zone with just a couple specials going. Omega does go down. Another frontliner goes down from Fruitella. This is a big scramble here. If they don't take this quickly, and they do, they were in danger of starting to lose some big points, because if we've noticed, Fruitella hasn't really been able to get anybody near the zone for a while.
Yeah, I feel like over time, Moonlight has just slowly been adapting to the map even more. Honestly, Loki outpacing Fruitella in terms of that map adaptation, if I am being honest, because Moonlight is starting to slowly run numbers around Fruitella. I can't tell if it's actually the desperation or like the anxiety coming in, or it's just Moonlight being Moonlight. It's hard to tell at this point.
Basil just tap shot at a dueling.
Yeah, they get to do that.
I mean, well, okay, there you go. There's the whole story told to you in one quick chapter. If you go after the opposing backline with your weapon that should win it, and even that doesn't end up working, it's not going to be a decision that's going to, like... It's not that it was the wrong decision there. Sometimes it's execution. They're starting to move forward there. A great job right now. Nora would love to find one more player. No one went down in that scuffle. I don't even understand how, but there's only a few ticks left. Is Fruitella really going to steal this?
It is very possible here. We are seeing Omega coming and putting that. That's a beautiful bubble there on the zone. It's so close to being capped, but I don't know if Omega can do it by themselves. Everyone is here on the zone, and Omega's fighting. It's Omega against the world right here, but Moonlight has to cap the zone. But if not, there's not going to be enough time to get this lead back. Fruitella going with and getting the cap, but is it going to be enough? No! Just barely Moonlight able to get the cap, seal the game, seal the set. They just punched their ticket into the Splat World Series. Oh my goodness, that was such a Mickey Mouse Game, dude.
Moody. Impossible. It can't. I just no
This
more.
game is not real.
I can't handle any more here. I mean, just this baffling sequence where Omega hits like 3 people, doesn't take any of them out. A couple members go through. Punchy gets away. Omega gets away. Nobody caps the zone initially there. Punchy cycles through specials again. Drinks come out on both sides. 2 people do go down, and it's just enough in just enough time. Oh my God.
Bro's weapon was just tickling them. The weapon that is not supposed to tickle people was tickling people. That's genuinely so funny. That was such a chaotic game. Wait. Where's the KDs for the humpback game? I need to see that. 12 deaths, 10 deaths, 6 deaths, 9 deaths. Oh my god. 11 strikes.
It almost worked. I mean, we made the joke earlier about it, but it almost worked. Those triple ink strikes kept them in the game long enough. Oh my goodness. Round of applause for our teams for putting on such a show. I know it's a bitter pill to swallow for Fruitella to lose in such a fashion, but certainly a closer set than the first time these two played. And a major tip of the cap to Moonlight, who I've seen lose that scuffle in that game more times than I can count. But not today. Not today. They were not going to have that type of set against FTWin and then drop a set in losers. As you noted earlier, Fufu, Moonlight will be strolling on into the Splat World Series, where they're going to need to up their game even more if they want to get a second silver medal. But for Fruitella, you're going to have to show up to qual number 2. You're going to have to do it again. You are the favorite, I would think, at least based on your showing here today, but just not quite enough at the end.
We will hopefully be seeing them. I hope to see them again. You guys better come back. If they don't come back, I'm going to be upset. You better come back.
Okay, usually I have something to say about this at this point in the tournament, talking about, I've already forgotten who the other 4 quals were from Super Jump 5, and I commentated that, so I should probably know. But obviously PXG, we have Hypernova, we have, I think now it's Milky Way instead of Milk Duds, the 2 teams today that have joined them as well. Free Flow, that was the one that I was forgetting. So right now, Hypernova, Free Flow, PXG, Milky Way, Moonlight, and FTWin. That's a lot of killers here representing Western Splatoon.
That's gonna be the competition is high. That only brings up the excitement for when the actual tournament comes by. I'm not gonna be okay. I'm gonna be the most normal person you're going to see on the field ever when the tournament happens, because you have our 8 Western teams that absolutely killed it, both in Super Jump today and whatever qualifier we're gonna have next. The second one, the only other one we're gonna have, but and of course the Japanese players as well that are gonna be absolutely killing it as well. That's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
I always look back at the early Splat World Cups that happened kind of at the start of Splatoon 3, where you would get, and the end of Splatoon 2, frankly, where you would have these top North American and European players, and then just a bunch of Japanese players that people had never heard of. And suddenly it's like, wait, are all the Japanese players just this good? And we quickly found out the answer is yes. But this is a great opportunity here. When IPL and Area Cup got together to make this happen, you knew the production value was going to be great, and we just don't get to see an exhibition style format like this too often. So it'll be a great show. As Fufu noted, we've got one more qualifier, but our action here today is dwindling. It is done. Fufu, you did such a great job today. Your mic is still in one piece, which I have to give credit to your microphone for that. What have you got going on? I was too. What have you got going on? Where can people find you?
Well, my mic is okay, and I am unfortunately 0-2 against my mic when it comes to Splatoon 1 maps. That said, you guys can find me at @SplatFufu on Blue Sky and Twitter. I am a little bit more active on Blue Sky. I'm posting art just about every other day, of course, commentating, and of course, you love Chargers. We love Chargers in this house. So do come find me, come follow me, do say hello. 9, it was amazing being on the mic with you today, bringing the energy, bringing the fun. Where can the lovely people find you today?
Well, I'm pretty much not active anywhere, so unfortunately, the answer is basically nowhere. But you can find a lot of great action at pow_ny on Twitter, or KyoChainDXD on Twitter. But I do want to say, Fufu, you were an absolute pleasure to commentate here today with. There was never a shortage of energy, and of course we want to thank all the staff who worked so hard to make this happen. This is an efficient tournament. I gotta say, this is under 4 hours that we went from these teams, some long sets at the end. So a big round of applause for the people behind the scenes making this one happen.
Absolutely, just amazing stuff through and through. Again, shout outs to our staff, shout outs to everyone, shout out to the players playing in the tournament in the first place. Just an amazing show that you guys have given us, and I hope a lot of players are satisfied with their performance because we sure as heck are.
Don't miss Splat World Series Qualifier number 2. It is on the horizon. And also, don't miss Squid Junction that we just talked about earlier. If you saw the action today and want to continue playing, or felt that you should have signed up today and want to still play, Squid Junction starting very, very, very shortly. Get in there, play this beautiful game. There's so much fun to be had. But folks, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all the players, commentators, everyone who worked to make today possible. And until next time, everybody, you know what I'm going to say. Stay fresh.
They left me for dead, I guess I'll never learn. Every time I break, there's just more pain to burn. They'll never, never, never learn. Till the battle's won, till kingdom come. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty.